Douluo, my Sharingan isn't very proper. Greetings, fellow multiversal adventurers. It's an honor to have you back in this saga that has us all hooked. Official channel statement, this story is 100% epic fiction. So please don't attempt real magic, the results aren't guaranteed and insurance won't cover it. The rights to this masterpiece belong entirely to its brilliant original author. We are just a barge sharing it with you. Do you want to keep being part of this amazing community? Join our ninja army of subscribers on YouTube and give this content a like. And for true fans, our Patreon has exclusive ninjutsu waiting for you. Chapter 1 Xiao Wu. In Bilao's village, west of Notting City, in the Fazno province of the Heavendao Empire, on the Douluo continent. The morning sun shone brightly. Yichu and village chief Zhang were seeing off the spirit hall branch steward. Yichu, who had just awakened his spirit, didn't seem very happy. Life is cruel. It's a pity this isn't Brother Tao's territory, otherwise I probably wouldn't have awakened a level 1 innate spirit power like red eye disease. Sigh, watching the departing spirit hall steward, Yichu sighed inwardly. Even though he was unwilling, he had to accept reality. Xiao, why are you frowning? You're the only child in our village with innate spirit power. You could become a great spirit master someday. Old Zhang patted his head, a smile on his face. Clearly, after so many years, another child with innate spirit power had appeared, and old Zhang was very happy. However, Yichu knew that with only level 1 innate soul power, breaking through to level 10 would be difficult. Grandpa Zhang, it's not just this that's bothering me, Yichu forced a smile. Sigh, old Zhang sighed, his smile fading as he took a silver coin from his pocket and placed it in Yichu's hand. This was collected by the villagers. Go back and settle old Yi in properly. I'll send you to the Soul Master Academy in a while. Thank you, Grandpa Zhang, and please thank everyone for me. Yichu clutched the silver coin tightly and bowed deeply. No need for thanks. Old Yi has helped the villagers a lot. You go back first, I'm going for a walk. Without waiting for Yichu's reply, he walked out of the village. Leaning on his cane, he walked somewhat unsteadily, perhaps going to avenge the mockery from the neighboring village over the past few years. Shaking his head, Yichu silently walked towards home. 6 years had passed since he was transported to this world by the dimensional truck. Douluo continent, a world both familiar and strange to Yichu, a world that had previously only existed in books and fantasies. He had thought he could finally show off his skills, but it seemed he had only been relegated to a lower world as a slave slap. Yichu slapped his forehead, stopping his wandering thoughts, and hurried home. But the closer he got, the heavier his heart became. A stone house built of rubble, the moss on the stones and the weeds in the cracks, unmistakably spoke of its age. He had been adopted by old Yi since childhood, and had no memory of his parents. Old Yi was his only family creek. Pushing open the fairly sturdy wooden door, he saw a simple layout, with a few wooden planks dividing the space into several different areas. As soon as the door opened, a hoarse, weak voice came through. Little kiddo, how is she? Looking at old Yi's barely breathing body on the bed, Yichu's eyes stung, a lump forming in his throat. His voice, though forced to remain calm, began to tremble with emotion. Grandpa, Little Chu hasn't disappointed you. Little Chu can become a soul master. Good, that's good. Old Yi's withered face regained some color. Yichu stepped forward to the bedside, and old Yi took Yichu's hand, tears welling into his cloudy eyes. Now, Grandpa can go in peace. Remember to come back and see Grandpa when you've made something of yourself. I will. Little kiddo will definitely come back to see Grandpa. The pain in his throat made it difficult to even speak. That's good. Old Yi slowly closed his eyes, a smile still lingering on his lips. Noticing old Yi's limp hands, Yichu knelt before the bed, sobbing silently. He had long since passed away, but lingered on, unable to let go of Yichu. His sorrowful tears fell to the ground, tinged with a faint red. After weeping, Yichu brought a basin of water, wrung out a towel, and began to tidy old Yi's body, carefully wiping it clean. Then he tidied and cleaned old Yi's carpentry tools. How could this be? Yichu exclaimed in shock. Thump. The basin of water was overturned. Looking at his reflection in the water, Yichu couldn't help but lean down for a closer look. Touching his reddened eyes, he noticed a comma-shaped dot in his normally monotonous bloodshot eyes. This is the Sharingan. Yichu's eyes widened. Is it an illusion? He rubbed his eyes repeatedly until they ached before accepting the fact. After carefully sensing it, Yichu realized that his soul power seemed to have increased slightly. If that's the case, then my innate soul power can also increase. Yichu laughed, but then he couldn't help but cry. He went to the bedside, knelt down, and kowtowed 3 times. Grandpa, thank you for your spirit in heaven. Please watch over me. Your grandson will definitely become a powerful soul master. After Yichu calmed down and tidied everything up, he planned to go out to buy some offerings. Going out like this doesn't seem right. Before leaving, he touched his eye sockets, which still had a lingering bloodshot color. Is it because I didn't control the increase in soul power well? Yichu wondered. Trying to shut down his martial spirit, the bloodlust in his eyes finally subsided after half an hour. All done, he muttered, then locked the door and went out. With the help of several villagers, Yichu followed his grandfather's unburied old Yi under the peach tree by the door, a place he often frequented. At dusk, Yichu, having already eaten dinner, was walking towards the village chief's house. He had a few silver coins left after spending them, and he planned to return them. He remembered everyone's help and dared not take anything more than his share. He was seen by the village chief's daughter as soon as he reached the door. Hey, Xiao Chu, have you eaten? Come find my dad. Yes, Aunt Zhang. Has Grandpa Zhang returned? Yes, he's back. He brought a little girl with him. Go in and see for yourself, Auntie has some work to do. Okay, thank you, Auntie. Yichu didn't pay much attention to the little girl Aunt Zhang mentioned. Children from nearby villages often got lost. After nodding to Aunt Zhang in thanks, Yichu walked past her. A little closer to the door, he heard the village chief's voice from inside. Eat slowly, little girl, eat slowly. There are still plenty of carrots. Grandpa Zhang, Yichu had only called out when he entered the door and froze, stunned by what he saw. This is Xiao Wu, Yichu murmured to himself, staring at the rabbit-eared, scorpion-braided girl wolfing down carrots at the table. He stood there, speechless. Village Chief Zhang noticed Yichu, his eyes lighting up. Little Chu, you've come at the right time. Let me introduce you, this is Xiao Wu. Little Chu, Little Chu, ah. Oh, Grandpa Zhang, you called me. Old Zhang called several times before Yichu finally came to his senses, but his gaze remained fixed on the girl. Carrying a small bag and wearing a pink skirt, Xiao Wu wasn't shy at all. Even shaking her little fist at Yichu while eating. After inquiring, Yichu learned that old Zhang had encountered bandits on his way back, and it was thanks to Xiao Wu that he was able to return safely. He had even taken her to the Spirit Hall's deacon in the next village to obtain a spirit certificate, promising to send Xiao Wu to the Spirit Master Academy as well. Yichu understood, so that's how Xiao Wu got her work-study student status. After explaining the situation, old Zhang brought up his earlier plan. Xiao Chu, you see, there's not much room left in my house, so I'm thinking of letting this little girl stay at your place for a while. What do you think? Wishing everyone a happy life. Chapter 2 More money needed. Hearing old Zhang's words, Xiao Wu, still struggling with the carrot, turned her clear yet foolish gaze to Yichu. Grandpa Zhang, isn't this inappropriate? Yichu was somewhat embarrassed. This was a 100,000-year-old soul beast. More importantly, there was only one bed in the house. Before he could explain further, old Zhang interrupted. What's wrong with it? They're all children. Besides, you're here to give money, right? Why are you being so particular? Take this money back, and take the girl back too. Consider it her food allowance. This is a bit. Yichu's expression became somewhat unnatural upon hearing this. To be honest, he was somewhat tempted. You still don't want to? Before he could finish speaking, old Zhang interrupted him. No, Grandpa Zhang. You misunderstood. Yichu rubbed his hands, smiling somewhat embarrassedly. What I mean is, this money isn't enough, we need to add more. Hearing this, old Zhang almost ripped his beard off. Look how much she eats, this amount of money isn't quite enough. He pointed in Xiao Wu's direction, spreading his hands helplessly. I don't eat that much? Xiao Wu glared at Yichu with wide eyes. Suddenly, a long burp escaped her lips, and she quickly covered her mouth, her face flushed red. Feeling the gazes of old Zhang and Yichu, her eyes became somewhat evasive. Finally, old Zhang agreed to add more money and made a promise with Yichu that he would send them to the Nodding City Soul Master Academy about a month later when it opened. Under old Zhang's watchful gaze, Yichu naturally took the rabbit home. Along the way, Yichu went first, and Xiao Wu followed behind. Unlike Xiao Wu's lively and energetic demeanor, Yichu is silent and focused on the journey. Hey! How much further? Xiao Wu hopped to Yichu's side, tilting her head as she asked. I'm not called Hey, Yichu pouted, annoyed by the rude rabbit. My name is Yichu. There's still some distance to go, hang in there, HMPH. What's with the attitude? Be careful, Xiao Wu will beat you up. Hearing this, Yichu fell silent, rolling his eyes and thinking to himself, she's really hard to tame. They traveled in silence until night fell. Bathed in the soft starlight, Yichu finally arrived home. Wow! What an adorable little rabbit. I didn't know you kept a pet rabbit. Seeing the rabbit in the cage in front of the stone house, Xiao Wu seemed to have found her tribe, rushing over to tease it. That's not a pet. With a soft murmur, Yichu pointed to the bathroom area partitioned off by wooden boards as soon as he entered the room and demanded of Xiao Wu, go take a shower quickly, you smell awful. You're talking nonsense. I don't smell at all. Xiao Wu sniffed her sleeves as she spoke, her voice growing softer and her face flushing. Can you smell it? You smell like carrots, and it smells a bit like a rabbit. Yichu walked over and sniffed beside her. Ah, what are you doing? I'm not a rabbit. Xiao Wu quickly covered her chest, moving away from him, looking flustered. What a stupid rabbit. Yichu shook his head, annoyed. I never said you were a rabbit. Go take a shower. Watching her go into the bathroom, Yichu began making the bed. Since the silly rabbit didn't have any extra clothes, Yichu had to give her his own. Hanging her clothes on the wooden plank, she instructed the person inside, wear my clothes for now, I'm going to rest. The other end of the bed is yours. What? We're going to sleep together. Sleep together? We're miles apart, Yichu shouted back. Why are you being so fierce? Fine, we'll sleep. After a relatively amicable exchange, both fell silent, with only the sound of running water remaining. When Xiao Wu came out, Yichu was already lying across one side of the bed. Seeing that the bed was a decent size, enough to fit 5 or 6 suitcases sideways, she didn't cause any trouble. But looking around, she couldn't help but call out, hey, no response. Xiao Wu snorted and spoke again. Yichu, do you have a mirror here? No. See the water tank under the window? Make do with that. With that, Yichu rolled over. Xiao Wu pouted, carefully taking a small comb from her pink handbag as if it were a precious treasure. She went to the water vat, and using the moonlight streaming in from the window and her reflection in the water, meticulously combed her hair, her crimson eyes revealing deep longing. Once her hair was almost dry, she carefully put the comb away, slowly climbed to the other end of the bed, and placed the handbag beside her pillow. Seemingly still somewhat worried about Yichu, she didn't forget to utter a harsh threat before falling asleep. Hey! Don't you dare cross the line, or I'll see how I deal with you. She was met with silence, which made her grind her teeth in anger. Thinking he was already asleep, she could only lie down resentfully. As the night deepened, and Xiao Wu's breathing became steady, a red light shone in Yichu's eyes as he looked at her through the darkness. He hadn't actually slept at all, he simply didn't want to deal with the silly rabbit. He sighed inwardly. Sigh, I don't know if bringing her back was the right thing to do. I'll just let things take their course. A 100,000-year-old soul beast is still a long way off. Yichu believed that once his Sharingan fully awakened, his achievements would be remarkable. Purple clouds rose from the east, and the sky gradually brightened. Slowly waking up, Yichu looked at Xiao Wu lying on top of him, his eyes twitching. She even managed to roll over from this distance. Even rabbits are restless in their sleep. He gently pulled her off, slowly got up, and looked back at her fair, rosy face and delicate appearance. A protective instinct stirred within Yichu. After gazing at her for a while, Yichu covered her with a blanket and placed the small handbag beside her. The door opened, and Yichu went out to prepare breakfast. Xiao Wu, still lying in bed with her eyes closed, suddenly opened them. Seeing Yichu's departing figure, she covered her burning face with her hands and burrowed back into the covers, becoming a wriggling maggot. A muffled sound came from under the covers, so embarrassing. The embarrassment didn't last long, interrupted by the protesting sound of her stomach. After a quick wash and retying her braided hair, Xiao Wu went outside. You're up, Yichu's hurried voice came from afar. Yes, what are you doing? Looking at Yichu sprawled on the floor, Xiao Wu couldn't help but squat down and ask. Plank, a way to exercise? Oh, that's strange, Xiao Wu muttered, touching her stomach, hesitant to speak. Are you hungry? I've bought carrots. They're on the table, just wash them and you can eat. Really? You bought carrots? True to form, her eyes lit up at the mention of carrots. Why would I lie to you? Yichu stood up, gave her a speechless look, and led the way into the house. Chapter 3: The Mischievous Eyes. At a small dining table, Yichu and Xiao Wu sat facing each other. After handing her a washed carrot, Yichu buried his head in his own bowl of white porridge, mixed with his stored pickled vegetables, a unique flavor. Xiao Wu, meanwhile, was also munching on her own carrot, enjoying its crunchy texture. Holding a carrot in one hand and resting her chin on the other, she asked, "Hey, Yichu, my martial soul is the soft-boned charming rabbit. What's yours?" "Sharingan," Yichu answered crisply without even looking up. "Sharingan? What kind of martial soul is that? Let me see." This silly rabbit, fresh out of the spirit beast world, was bursting with curiosity about new things. She somersaulted over the table to Yichu's side. She brought her head right up to his face, scrutinizing him intently. "Is it related to your eyes?" Smelling the carrot scent wafting over, Yichu clenched his fist. He was somewhat exasperated with this boundless rabbit. He couldn't beat her in a fight right now. "Look, this is the Sharingan." Yichu pointed to his eyes, a blood-red hue appearing, and a tomo slowly rotating. Xiao Wu stared back at him, stunned for a moment, then her rabbit ears twitched, and she murmured, "So beautiful." "Hey! What are you doing?" Yichu gently nudged Xiao Wu's shoulder, but there was no reaction. Xiao Wu seemed bewitched, staring intently into his eyes, her originally fair face flushed. Seeing her face getting closer and closer, Yichu had no choice but to slap her. "Ah! Yichu, why did you hit me?" Xiao Wu covered her face, looking at him with evasive eyes. "You're practically glued to my face even if I don't hit you, you little rascal." I'm not a rascal." "Don't call me that," Xiao Wu retorted angrily. "Still saying you're not? You were just trying to take advantage of me." Yichu took a few steps back, creating a safe distance between them. "You're talking nonsense." She didn't know why she had suddenly lost control, but she thought Yichu had become much more attractive. Touching her flushed face, she stomped her foot in embarrassment and raised her little fist at Yichu. "Anyway, you can't call me that, or I'll teach you a lesson." "Whatever, I'm going to wash the dishes." Yichu waved his hand. A good man doesn't fight with a woman, mainly because he didn't want to get beaten up. HMPH. "You're smart enough." Xiao Wu snorted twice, then took a bite of the carrot in her hand. Seeing that Yichu wasn't paying attention to her, she went to the door to tease the little white rabbit in its cage. What happened to her just now? Was she under a genjutsu? Yichu was also curious about what had happened. He hadn't made any moves, but Xiao Wu, the rabbit, had suddenly become abnormal. "Looks like I can try again later," he muttered to himself, looking at his eyes reflected in the water and glancing at Xiao Wu outside. In the blink of an eye, more than half a month had passed. The two got along quite well, and the silly rabbit had become much more docile than before. During this time, Yichu had been training his physical fitness and improving his mental and soul power through meditation. Although his Sharingan hadn't changed much, through Xiao Wu's perception, he knew that his current soul power was level 4. Yichu speculated that the Sharingan reaching the 3-tomo state was what innate full soul power looked like. As for the higher level Meijekyo Sharingan, he had no clue yet. That morning, Yichu, as usual, pulled a rabbit off him. He didn't do his morning exercise. After preparing carrots, he waited for Xiao Wu at the dining table. "Yichu, good morning." A moment later, Xiao Wu's clear voice rang in his ear, a little embarrassed. "Good morning, come and eat breakfast," Yichu replied casually. Avoiding his gaze, she nodded slightly. Watching Xiao Wu, who had transformed from a playful rabbit into an ostrich-like figure, head down munching on a carrot, Yichu couldn't help but fassip him. This was his fault. After numerous experiments, he was certain that his Sharingan seemed to have a slightly wicked quality. When they made eye contact, it seemed to have a fatal attraction for the opposite sex. Xiao Wu, as the test subject, would always lose her composure, blushing and her heart racing. Yesterday, before Yichu could stop her, she even managed to nibble on him several times, resulting in this docile rabbit. Whether this effect would increase with the evolution of the Sharingan, and whether it was short-term or long-term, remained to be seen. Seeing Xiao Wu's usual lack of energy, Yichu felt he should say something. "There's no need to dwell on yesterday's events, it was just an accident." As he spoke, he casually ladled a bowl of porridge for her. "I understand," Xiao Wu said, taking the porridge. She raised her flushed face, her brows furrowed, seemingly unhappy and pouting. Sister Xiao Wu doesn't take that to heart, that's for the best. Yichu breathed a sigh of relief, but Xiao Wu still didn't want to get up. Thump. She slammed the bowl down on the table and shouted at Yichu, "What's so good about it? Humph, I'm full. I don't want to talk to you." With that, under Yichu's somewhat bewildered gaze, she picked up the cage containing the rabbit by the door and left the stone house. She was fine just now. Yichu scratched his head, wondering what was wrong with the silly rabbit. Looking at the carrots that were usually completely gone, half of them were still left. Yichu knew she hadn't eaten enough. She didn't chase after him, silently tidying up her things. Yichu was already used to her tantrums. She was always the one who lost her temper first and then took the initiative to make up. Xiao Wu had temporarily run away from home, and there was no one to practice combat with him. Yichu could only finish his scheduled training first, then sit cross-legged on the bed to meditate. After all, the martial soul was fundamental. Reaching the 3-tomo jade state as soon as possible would greatly speed up subsequent cultivation. Ah! My little white. Another morning, seeing the rabbit fur scattered in the cage, Xiao Wu cried out in surprise, and the carrot in her hand lost its flavor. Yichu. Where's my little white? Look, in the pot. Yichu pointed to the small stove under the eaves. What? Xiao Wu screamed. Yichu. You've gone too far. Rabbits are so cute. Why did you eat them? We're going to Notting City tomorrow. No one will take care of it here, and it's inconvenient to take it on the road, so we might as well just end it all. Yichu squatted by the fire, responding calmly, and added another piece of firewood to the stove. Xiao Wu's eyes were filled with tears, and she lunged at Yichu with bared teeth. Yichu, I'm going to kill you. Hey, stop it. Yichu, pinned to the ground and scratched by Xiao Wu, struggled fiercely. I have no choice. Helpless, Yichu activated his martial soul. His eyes turning blood red, captivating, and he pressed close to Xiao Wu. The moment their eyes met, Xiao Wu's crimson eyes glazed over. She stopped moving, feeling Yichu's breath, her face slowly turning red, whether from anger or not, it was unclear. I don't want to talk to you anymore. She got up, kicked Yichu, and ran back into the house. Yichu exhaled a breath of stale air, inwardly marveling at the usefulness of these eyes, while also managing a wry smile. The Sharingan is also known as the Eye of the Soul, and I don't have any filthy thoughts. Wishing everyone a happy life. Chapter 4 Arrogance. Getting up from the ground, brushing the dust off his clothes, Yichu smiled wryly at the complaints and curses coming from inside. After all, he was just a rabbit who hadn't seen much of the world. He didn't know how to curse properly, only how to hit and bite. He packed the fragrant rabbit meat from the pot into a jar, extinguished the embers in the stove, and lit a few sticks of incense under the peach tree, offering a prayer. Then he called inside, Xiao Wu, I'm going out for a bit. Clean up the table properly. I hate you. Sister Xiao Wu doesn't want to listen to you. All right then. Hearing her reply, Yichu was a little disappointed. He understood her feelings and didn't insist. Looks like I'll have to wait until I get back to do it. Shaking his head, he carried the rabbit meat and some money to old Zhang's house. Xiao Wu, still pounding her pillow, heard the silence outside and immediately ran to the door to peek out. Looking around, she saw he was gone. Yichu, I'm so angry. Humph. Xiao Wu, her eyes red, angrily pounded on the door, making a loud banging sound. He didn't even come to comfort me. Pouting her rabbit lips, she was extremely annoyed by Yichu's irresponsible behavior. She glanced coldly at the table, flicked her scorpion braid, and kicked back onto the bed. HMPH. If Sister Xiao Wu is unhappy, let whoever wants to do it. Her eyes, which had just closed, fluttered slightly. She opened them several times, looking at the table again and again, lost in thought. Meanwhile, Yichu was almost at his destination. The rabbit hadn't been killed for nothing. There was only one quilt at home, and the silly rabbit was still using its own clothes to change into. Tomorrow we're setting off for the Soul Master Academy, so it's necessary to gather some supplies. Listening to the chirping of birds along the way, I looked up at the sky, wanting to say something witty, but I was powerless too. I could only sigh inwardly. You only realize how little you know when you need it. So many branches, so many birds. I bent down to put down what I was carrying, picked up a few pebbles, and my eyes lit up with a crimson light. Let's test my recent training results. Holding 3 pebbles between each hand, I adjusted my breathing slightly, concentrated, and threw them. Whoosh whoosh whoosh, both hands hurled them one after the other. Clatter, clatter, the pebbles collided. Plop, plop, 4 birds fell to the ground. The movements were fluid and graceful, but Xiao wasn't satisfied with the result. 2 missed, he frowned, then relaxed. There's still a lot of room for improvement in my Sharingan. Besides, I'll be meeting Tang-san soon, right? Tang-sec's ultimate techniques? My Sharingan is itching for more. He casually picked 2 handfuls of blue silver grass from the roadside and simply tied up his spoils. Aunt Zhang. Is the village chief home? Oh, Xiao Chu, your village chief grandpa went to borrow a cow, but everything's already prepared. You can take it back. Aunt Zhang, still washing clothes, wiped her hands on her apron and beckoned Xiao into the house. She then took out the prepared items and placed them on the table. Borrow a cow? Xiao stood there, somewhat puzzled. Aunt Zhang answered at the opportune moment, oh dear, renting a horse-drawn carriage is expensive. To save some money, I'll have to trouble you 2 kids to ride in an ox cart. That's really troubling Grandpa Zhang. Xiao nodded. He was quite familiar with these situations. The lives of villagers at the bottom of the social ladder on the mainland were indeed difficult. What trouble? Just don't feel wronged, you 2 future soul masters. Although he knew Aunt Zhang was teasing him, Xiao didn't dare to lie. He waved his hands repeatedly. Auntie, what are you saying? Everyone has already been very kind to me. What's this about feeling wronged? When I'm successful, I won't forget everyone. He placed the jar and several small birds he was carrying on the table. Oh, right, Auntie. This is rabbit meat I cooked. When Grandpa Zhang comes back, tell him this is what I'm doing for him. You child, no wonder your Grandpa Zhang always says you're so discerning. Aunt Zhang gave him a reproachful glare. Xiao didn't mind. Compared to the care they'd received over the years, this jar of meat was nothing. He didn't want to owe them too much either. After chatting with Aunt Zhang for a while, Xiao left. Staying too long would only make the copper coins falling out of the jar lid more troublesome. Not daring to linger, he made an appointment with the village chief at the village entrance the next morning, shouldered his quilt, and ran home in a flash. Approaching the stone house, he thought Xiao Wu would have calmed down by the time he got back, but before he even entered the house, he heard her cursing again. Just as he was about to enter, Xiao was particularly surprised to see the clothes drying outside. He tiptoed cautiously towards the door. Inside, the dishes on the table had already been cleared away. Xiao Wu was riding on the wooden horse Xiao had made for her in his spare time, patting its head and muttering incessantly. As an old Yi's grandson, Xiao had inherited many carpentry skills to ensure she could eat her fill even without a martial spirit. He had also made quite a few little trinkets for this silly rabbit during this time. Perhaps caught up in her nagging, she didn't notice Xiao getting quite close before her childish, clear voice rang in her ears. You stinky Xiao, you deadbeat Xiao. Why aren't you back yet? I've already packed everything, even washed the clothes. If you don't come back soon, Xiao Wu will. Before she could finish, she was startled by the sudden voice. Will what? You'll ignore me? Xiao smiled, amused. Ah. Xiao, you're back. A look of joy flashed across her face, and she jumped over the wooden horse to run towards him. Halfway there, as if remembering something, her expression froze, her body paused, and she swung her scorpion braid, turning her face away. HMPH, she snorted coldly, her words still quite stubborn. I don't want to talk to you. I didn't expect this rabbit to be a bit arrogant. Xiao watched her act, his eyes crinkling with laughter. Haha, what are you laughing at? Xiao Wu glared at Xiao with her flushed eyes. Xiao Bai's matter isn't over yet. Ahem. Xiao coughed twice, avoiding the rabbit's issue, and stepped forward, placing his hand on Xiao Wu's head. Nothing's funny, just a little happy. Thank you for washing my clothes. He then gave her a gentle rub, finding it quite pleasant. How many times have I told you? Don't touch my head. Xiao Wu's face flushed, her voice losing its sharp edge, and she mumbled a simple complaint, not resisting too much. It was clear that her 2 pink rabbit ears swaying in the wind proved the head patting was quite effective. Strangely enough, whenever there was a conflict, it seemed that all the tension would be resolved during some close contact. This docile rabbit made Xiao feel somewhat unreal. Is the effect of the Sharingan long-term? Or is it just a side effect? Xiao pondered. Chapter 5 makes perfect sense. After Xiao Wu calmed down completely, she noticed what Xiao was carrying on his back. Seeing him still staring blankly at her, she felt a strange sweetness in her heart. Yichu, where did you go? What's that on your back? Seeing Yichu still lost in thought, Xiao Wu felt she had been presumptuous. She pried the hand off her head, huffing. Hey! What are you thinking about, huh? Nothing. Yichu, coming back to his senses, scratched his head. What did you ask me just now, Yichu? Do you even care about Xiao Wu? Xiao Wu glared at him, her mood turning sour. Why would I care about you? Yichu rolled his eyes, no longer dwelling on what she had said, and turned to put the thing on the table. UHMPH, Xiao Wu gritted her teeth, not knowing what to say, and let out another soft HMPH. Come and see what I prepared for you. What I prepared for me, the rabbit asked curiously, its ears perking up as it hopped over to Yichu with a puzzled look. Is it something fun again? Why are you always thinking about playing? Yichu rubbed his head, somewhat helplessly. Xiao Wu, however, ignored Yichu's teasing, her eyes fixed on the clothes in his hand. A gleam flashed in her eyes. Is this for me? Yes. Yichu glanced at her. Don't you even know whose clothes you're wearing? No one should laugh at you anymore. He, remembering the scene of Xiao Wu being teased by other kids for wearing his clothes, Yichu couldn't help but chuckle. Hurry up and go inside and change so I can see, he urged her to try it on quickly, so that it could be altered if anything wasn't right. However, it turned out that Yichu had overthought things. Yichu, how is it? Does it look good? Xiao Wu, wearing her new clothes, kept twirling in front of Yichu. Not bad, it fits well. Hey. I'm asking if it looks good on you. Well, you should come and look at this blanket first, Yichu. Xiao Wu called out each word slowly and deliberately, clenching her fists and imagining punching Yichu in the face. She couldn't understand why this guy always made her angry. However, considering the new clothes, Xiao Wu decided to forgive him this time. Yichu, who had already unfolded the new blanket, turned around and found her already close to him. Why did you buy a blanket? Then, with a mournful face, she pressed close to Yichu. Aren't we going to sleep together from now on? The handsome boy was speechless. No wonder he was called Rogue Rabbit. What kind of lewd words were those? However, Yichu patiently explained, men and women shouldn't touch each other. At school, you'll have single beds. Oh, I see. Hearing her slightly disappointed tone, Yichu couldn't help but worry about his future safety. If Tang Sam still fell in love with a rabbit and knew about their shared bed, wouldn't he be courting death? Oh, right, there's a little rabbit embroidered on the blanket. Thump. Before he could finish speaking, Yichu was embraced tightly and tackled to the ground by a petite figure. No one had ever been so kind to her except her mother. She was momentarily overwhelmed with emotion. I saw it, thank you, Yichu. The gentle voice that entered her ears and the breath that brushed against her cheek stirred Yichu's senses. She couldn't help but sigh inwardly. No wonder Tang San, a man with 2 lifetimes, was captivated by a rabbit. It was truly irresistible. So cute, anyone would be mesmerized. After a long while, the rabbit still hadn't let go. Let me go now. I can't breathe. No. Who told you to always annoy me? I'll crush you. She continued to wriggle, pressing down on Yichu, as if trying to crush him. Her little face was flushed, whether from excessive force or embarrassment, it was hard to tell. This is really torture, he thought to himself, Yichu's face also turning red. He really couldn't breathe. You little rascal. Don't go too far, Yichu declared. Death is better than humiliation. Ouch. You dare call me a little rascal? Today, Sister Xiao Wu will definitely beat you up. Another farce ended under the gaze of Yichu's Sharingan. Of course, it would have been even better if his left eye socket hadn't turned purple. Yichu, are you alright? Are you alright? Xiao Wu waved her paw repeatedly in front of Yichu. I'm not going to die, he replied irritably. She didn't do it on purpose. Fine, I'll let you hit me back, okay? She squatted down in front of Yichu, pointing to her eyes. No need, just consider it an apology to Xiao Bai. Hey, what did you forget to pack? I told you to prepare it yesterday. All you do is play. Early the next morning, Yichu's impatient voice came from the stone house. His eyes were no longer swollen, but there was a tooth mark on his cheek. He didn't know what this silly rabbit had done yesterday. She insisted on sharing a blanket with him, and not only that, she bit him in the middle of the night. Yichu felt she was retaliating, but he had no proof. It's all better now. Why are you being so fierce? It was just a bite, Xiao Wu smiled, sticking out her tongue at Yichu, making him even more certain that the rabbit had done it on purpose. Why are you covering your eyes? Xiao Wu looked at him curiously. At this moment, Yichu's eyes were wrapped with a black silk band, making them invisible from the outside and not significantly obstructing his vision from the inside. My martial soul is my eyes, so of course I need to protect such a vulnerable area. That's reasonable, right? He explained, spreading his hands. The protection was indeed necessary. The tomo within his Sharingan were still quite noticeable. If someone with ulterior motives knew about his martial soul's transformation, there would inevitably be trouble. Besides, it could also somewhat suppress that frivolous ability. Xiao Wu then looked at the wooden toys in front of her, bows, arrows, slingshots, etc. It's a pity I can't take these toys with me. If you want them, I'll make them for you later, as long as there's wood. Yichu pouted, thinking to himself, I'm afraid you'll look down on my craftsmanship after seeing Tang San's crossbow. Then it's settled. Let's go. Hearing this, Xiao Wu smiled, took Yichu's hand, and stepped through the wooden door outside. Clutching her pink pouch tightly, only she knew that something new had appeared inside, a bamboo dragonfly, the first toy Yichu had made for her. Wait for me, she said to Xiao Wu, then went to the peach tree, lit some incense, and knelt down, kowtowing 3 times. Grandpa, Xiao Chu is going now. Just as he was about to stand up, he noticed Xiao Wu had also knelt. What are you doing? Yichu looked at her, puzzled. Was the rabbit head not working properly? Can I kneel to my mother? Xiao Wu stammered, looking rather guilty. She muttered something, quickly kowtowed a few times, and then immediately got up and ran off. How strange. This whole commotion left Yichu completely baffled. Chapter 6 Tang San. Before long, the two arrived at the village entrance, where old Zhang was already waiting with his ox cart. Grandpa Zhang, long time no see. Facing Xiao Wu's greeting, old Zhang nodded repeatedly. Hey, this little girl is really adorable. When it was Yichu's turn, before he could even speak, his face darkened. However, this didn't stop Yichu from offering his greeting. Good morning, Grandpa Village Chief. Hearing this, old Zhang's expression worsened. Oh, no. You're a future soul master, and you've already used money to draw a clear line. Yichu was taken aback, gave a wry smile, and realized it was because of the money he had secretly given her. Grandpa Village Chief, what are you saying? It was a token of my respect, Grandpa Zhang. What did Yichu do to make you angry? Xiao Wu asked, puzzled. Nothing. Here. This is your living expenses, Grandpa. Keep it safe. Old Zhang produced a small bag of money from somewhere and placed it in Xiao Wu's hand. Thank you, Grandpa. The little rabbit didn't know what refusal meant and simply accepted the money. Seeing that she had accepted it, old Zhang glanced at Yichu smugly. HMPH. Get in the cart. Yichu scratched his head and chuckled dryly. What a playful old man. The mode of transport was simple, a strong yellow ox pulling a 2-wheeled cart, the bottom of which was covered with straw, enjoying the natural fragrance. It was well ventilated on all sides, with sunlight streaming in, and the scenery along the way was breathtaking. Biao village wasn't far from Nodding City. At the speed of the ox cart, they should arrive in the afternoon. Around noon, old Zhang was driving the ox cart, while Yichu and Xiao Wu sat facing each other. The rabbit, who had been so enthusiastic at first, was now listless, dozing off even while munching on a carrot. She shifted her bottom and slowly moved closer to Yichu, hugging his arm. Yichu, I'm a little sleepy. She yawned as she spoke, but her eyes were still bright. If you're sleepy, take a nap, Yichu, with his eyes covered, casually replied. All right then. The words had barely left his lips when Yichu felt a weight on his shoulder. Xiao Wu's head rested on his shoulder, her arms wrapped around his. He glanced at her briefly before looking away. On our way to Nodding City, Tang Hao will probably discover Xiao Wu's identity as a 100,000-year-old soul beast. Yichu wasn't entirely without the thought of taking her away, but where could they go? He was only at the 4th level of innate soul power. Even if he joined some small power, there was no guarantee that nothing unexpected would happen. For Xiao Wu, perhaps following her original path was the safest option for now. At least, there was enough time for her to grow stronger. Besides, he had his own reasons for coming here. Out of Yichu's sight, Xiao Wu secretly opened her eyes, gazing at his profile, her eyes crinkling. Suddenly noticing old Zhang's gaze, a blush crept onto her face, making old Zhang chuckle. Time slowly passed, and in the distance, the spires of buildings appeared. The architecture of Douluo continent was mostly Western in style, Wow! Yichu, look, it's so beautiful. Xiao Wu, who had never seen the world before, excitedly shook Yichu's arm, full of energy. It really is beautiful. Yichu was also somewhat moved. After all, he was just as much of a country bumpkin. Haha. I was just like you when I first came here, old Zhang. In high spirits, began to recount his past. The ox cart stopped outside the city gate, and the three of them walked into the city. When they arrived at the entrance of the Soul Master Academy, they didn't receive the same treatment as the protagonist Tang San, perhaps because they had already been taught a lesson. The formalities were completed quickly, and the two of them were assigned to the same dormitory, the place where everything began, Dormitory 7. At the entrance of Dormitory 7, the two of them, who had already said goodbye to old Zhang, arrived with their bags. As soon as they entered, they saw more than a dozen guys with bruised and swollen faces. Only one person was an exception. Although he was somewhat malnourished and not good-looking, he was well-dressed and confident. This must be Tang San. Looking at the so-called protagonist in front of him, Yichu couldn't help but feel a little emotional. Are you also students of Dormitory 7? Wang Xing, the extra, began to introduce himself. I'm Wang Xing, and this is our leader, Tang San. Whoever beats him can become our new leader, become the leader. Great. Sister Xiao Wu likes that. Xiao Wu was used to being the big sister in front of Daming and Erming, and was particularly interested in this kind of thing. Wang Shen then looked at Yichu, the boy, and this student. Sorry, my strength is limited. He smiled apologetically, silently chose a bed, and put his things on it. Yichu, you wait. Sister Xiao Wu will protect you after she becomes the leader. Then thank you in advance. Looking at the smug silly rabbit, Yichu also responded with a smile, wondering if she would still be so carefree if she knew that her identity might have been exposed. Hey! You there? What are you staring at me for? Come over here and ask for a beating, he provocatively said to the skinny, dark-skinned boy who was staring at him in a daze. Leader, huh? Tang San only came back to his senses after Wang Sheng's shout. So you've already headed off, Yichu scoffed. 2 lifetimes and this is it? Hello, I am Tang San. My spirit is blue silver grass. With innate full spirit power, he gave Xiao Wu a standard cupped hand salute, introducing himself while inwardly praising her. This girl is so cute. Blue silver grass? It has innate full spirit power too. Xiao Wu, though puzzled, only made a slight comment before introducing herself. My name is Xiao Wu, the Wu in dancing. My spirit is soft bone rabbit, also with innate full spirit power. Let's begin. Whoosh. As soon as she finished introducing herself, Xiao Wu used a rabbit kick to propel herself forward, rushing towards Tang San. The battle began, and Yichu stopped what he was doing, his Sharingan quietly activating, intently watching Tang San's figure. The Sharingan is a combination of the Insight Eye, Copy Eye, and Hypnotic Eye, possessing the ability to copy ninjutsu, taijutsu, jinjutsu, and a high level of taijutsu vision. Tang San's fighting ability was definitely not weak. For Yichu at his current level, there was still much to learn. Facing Xiao Wu's attack, Tang San focused his attention and used Ghost Shadow Steps. His figure flashed, dodging Xiao Wu's attack, and then he used a grappling technique to grab her ankle and throw her away. The onlookers gasped, thinking this delicate girl was about to have a close encounter with the floor. Xiao Wu, however, twisted her body and landed steadily, not forgetting to wink at Yichu. Tang San, who had been worried and was about to catch her, was surprised to find that Xiao Wu's contortionist skills were no joke. Seeing her land smoothly, he stopped in his tracks. Amazing. Chapter 7 The Big Sister. Whoosh. Little Wu, oblivious to martial virtue, launched a surprise attack, using her small hands to propel herself high into the air, delivering a scissor kick aimed directly at his head. Thud. Tang San wasn't one to be trifled with. Even with both kicks blocked, Little Wu didn't stop her attack. Using her waist and head, she lashed out with her long, thin scorpion braid towards his face. So fast, Tang San exclaimed inwardly, releasing his grip and using Ghost Shadow Step to retreat. Unfortunately, it was too late. Little Wu's knowledge was limited, but her hair was incredibly long. Tang San gasped in pain. The scorpion braid struck his face, leaving a red mark, almost disfiguring his face. Strike while the iron is hot. Her small foot delivered a powerful upward kick to his chin, sending him flying high into the air before crashing to the ground with a thud. Just as he was about to get up, little Wu stepped forward and stomped on his chest. See? I won. Xiao Wu looked down at Tang San, her expression smug. I lost. Although she hadn't gone all out, Tang San didn't cheat either. He hadn't really cared about being the leader anyway. Besides, the girl in front of him was so cute, and he felt a strange sense of familiarity with her. Great, Xiao Wu jumped up happily, acting like a little adult. Listen up, from now on I'm your leader. I'm Xiao Wu, the Wu of dancing. From now on, you all have to call me Sister Xiao Wu. Seeing that Yichu wasn't even looking at her, she got annoyed and added, and Xiao Chu, you too. Yichu, who had already simply made the bed, nodded helplessly when he heard Xiao Wu's address. It was just a name, and considering her age, it was indeed appropriate. However, while she could call him Xiao Chu, he wouldn't call her sister. If you asked why, it could only be attributed to a man's damn pride. Come on, call out to me. Seeing Yichu nod, Xiao Wu's eyes narrowed into crescents, beaming with pride. Hello, Sister Xiao Wu, Wang Sheng and the others shouted in unison. Yichu didn't shout, nor did Tang San. Tang San, who had already gotten up, looked at Xiao Wu, who was being fawned over by everyone, and felt somewhat pleased. He touched the red marks on his face and smiled faintly. Then he noticed Yichu sitting on the bed on the other side. Tang San felt that Yichu was a little different from the others. Ordinary yet strange, with short black hair and a blue outfit, his appearance was unremarkable, but his eyes were covered. Yichu's spiritual power was extraordinary, and he was aware of Tang San's undisguised probing. He smiled politely and nodded in acknowledgement. Tang San returned the smile. The time was a bit short just now, I didn't even learn the basics, Yichu thought with a little regret, but there would be plenty of time in the future. Click. Xiao San, come out with me for a moment. The door of Dormitory 7 was suddenly opened, and a middle-aged man with a bitter face and a weathered appearance appeared at the door. Master, a cry of surprise rang out from the small dormitory. Teacher, Tang San, not giving him a chance, ran over and followed him out of the dormitory. Who is he? Like someone owes him money, Xiao Wu patted Wang Sheng beside her. SHH. Sister Xiao Wu, he's a teacher at the school. It seems Tang San has become his apprentice, Wang Sheng told the truth. Uzia gang, Yichu muttered to himself, looking at the closed door of Dormitory 7. Thinking of his theory, he shook his head and chuckled. He has some talent, but not much. Xiao Chu, what are you muttering about here all by yourself? Smelling the fragrance wafting from the tip of his nose, Yichu knew who it was without even looking. Nothing, you should hurry up and choose your bed and make it, okay, Xiao Wu responded, her eyes darting around as she scanned his surroundings. Finally, they chose the bed next to Yichu. Whose things aren't here? Take them away quickly. From now on, this bed belongs to Sister Xiao Wu. Hearing their eldest sister speak, Wang Sheng chimed in. Whose are they? Move them away quickly. Yes, Sister Xiao Wu. The underlings busied themselves, quickly tidying up the bed and even thoughtfully taking Xiao Wu's things over. However, looking at her own belongings, Xiao Wu looked troubled. After thinking for a moment, she sat down next to Yichu's bed, staring intently at him. Yichu's fists were already clenched. Xiao Chu, help her out. Sister Xiao Wu will definitely protect you from now on. Let them help you. Yichu pointed at Wang Sheng and the others, who stood tall and proud, practically begging for protection. I don't want them to touch my blanket. If you don't help me, I'll sleep in your bed. With that, she pounced on Yichu's blanket, swinging her legs casually. Yichu stared blankly at her, speechless for a long time. Because his eyes were covered, Xiao Wu couldn't see his expression. Seeing him facing her for so long, she thought he was angry. Yichu? She carefully got up and reached out to touch Yichu's arm. Unexpectedly, Yichu sighed softly, dodged her movement, and obediently went to help her make the bed. Since arriving at Notting Academy, Yichu had intentionally or unintentionally kept his distance from Xiao Wu. He didn't want Tang Hao to remember him, nor did he want anything to happen to Xiao Wu. Yichu felt that the reason Tang Hao didn't keep Xiao Wu as a pet was because of Tang San, and also because if Yin got too close to him, things would be unpredictable. Come and help. Hey, coming. Yichu's voice woke up the still dazed Xiao Wu. With a smile, she obediently helped out. After making the bed, Xiao Wu took out a small bag from her bag. Yichu knew that bag, it was given to her by old Zhang. Like presenting a treasure, He held it up with both hands. Xiao Chu, keep this money. Yi Chu didn't stand on ceremony. He did need the money, as he needed to find a carpentry job in a few days. Time slowly passed. When Tang San returned, he was wearing the Soul Tool 24 Bridges under the moon on his waist, and he even took out a large quilt from it. This caused everyone to gasp in surprise. Yi Chu was also slightly shocked by this amazing scene, though it wasn't apparent from the outside. Wang Xing, Sister Xiao Wu is hungry, let's go eat. Okay, is anyone else going? Why don't you take Sister Xiao Wu to familiarize herself with the place? We still have some dry rations. Apart from Yi Chu and Tang San, everyone else declined. Alright then, Sister Xiao Wu, come with me. Dormitory 7 was for work-study students, and its location wasn't very good, being quite a distance from the classrooms and the cafeteria. They walked for a full quarter of an hour while listening to Wang Sheng's introduction. As soon as they entered the cafeteria, Xiao Wu exclaimed, "It's huge." Tang San nodded in agreement. Of course. It can accommodate the entire school's teachers and students, Wang Sheng explained from the side. It's not that big, it just looks a bit novel. Yi Chu thought the cafeteria, which could hold 400 or 500 people, was nothing special. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 8 Messy Cloak. Are there any fresh carrots here? Xiao Wu asked Wang Shen. I don't think there are any on the first floor. I wonder if there are any on the second floor. Then let's go to the second floor. Wang Sheng scratched his head sheepishly. Sister Xiao Wu, things on the second floor are very expensive. Let's wait until we get our part-time jobs and receive our wages before going. Wang Sheng is right. The second floor is not a place for poor people like you. Suddenly, an arrogant voice came from the second floor. Looking up, a group of brightly dressed teenagers were coming down the stairs. Looking down at Yi Chu and the others, they said, "How about this? I'll treat you to this meal. I'll treat you to my leftovers. How about that?" Ha ha ha. The mocking voice made the others laugh. Sister Xiao Wu, these are the elite students from the school, Ling Feng and Liu Long. Wang Sheng stood there, angry but not daring to speak, and quietly reported to Sister Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu didn't care who they were, she couldn't stand this rudeness. Hey! Are you looking for a beating? Ling Feng's eyes lit up. Oh, I didn't expect there to be a cute little lolly among this year's work-study students. Too bad she's just a lowly poor wretch. You're really asking for a beating. Xiao Wu leaped up the steps and raised her hand to slap the man. Shield Martial Soul, Guard. A shield was summoned, blocking Xiao Wu's slap. Liu Long, who was standing nearby, also suddenly made a move. Martial Staff, Strike. A wooden staff swept towards Xiao Wu, who hadn't even reacted yet. Snap! Yi Chu made his move, gathering his soul power in his palm to block Liu Long's attack. Hiss, that hurts. The opponent's soul power is several levels higher than mine. Yi Chu clenched his fist tightly behind his back. The martial staff swung again. Xiao Wu also reacted, feeling a little angry. Yi Chu's eyes, hidden by black silk, revealed a faint, almost imperceptible red light. The Sharingan's Jinjutsu was ready to be unleashed. Slap! Unexpectedly, this time, Tang San grabbed Liu Long's stick. As the two were locked in a stalemate, a piece of blue-silver grass struck Liu Long in the eye. Taking advantage of this opportunity, Tang San delivered an elbow strike, knocking him down. Slap! Another sound came from the side. Xiao Wu's slap had broken through the armor shield of her martial soul, landing on Ling Feng's face and knocking him down the stairs. You lowly commoners, how dare you hit me? I bet the school would be happy to expel some of you. Ling Feng covered his face, glaring fiercely at Xiao Wu, Tang San, and the others standing above. Xiao Wu ignored him and quickly ran to Yi Chu's side. Xiao Chu, are you alright? She asked, reaching for his hand to check. I'm fine, Yi Chu said, turning away from her hand. Xiao Wu frowned, looking at him with confusion and disappointment in her eyes. Tang San also looked at Yi Chu. He felt that Yi Chu's technique just now bore a resemblance to the Intersects grappling techniques. Realizing what was happening, Wang Sheng grabbed Ling Feng by the collar, ready to punch him. You bastard, you dare, stop, a dignified voice stopped him. Master, the students on both sides looked at the newcomer. private fights are not allowed on campus, don't you know that? They started it, Xiao Wu shouted at Yu Xiaogang. But Yu Xiaogang only ignored her, glancing at her before turning away. Xiao-san, remember what I said. Come out with me the day after tomorrow. Yes, teacher, Tang-san respectfully replied. Want to come up to the second floor with me? Faced with Yu Xiaogang's invitation, Tang-san glanced at Xiao Wu and then shook his head. No, I'll go with my roommates. Not being unconventional is good, Yu Xiaogang nodded. He was extremely satisfied with this genius disciple with twin martial souls. He had a feeling that Tang-san would be a golden brand for him to prove his abilities to the world. You can all leave now. After saying that, the master calmly walked upstairs. Ling Feng, Liu Long, and the others left after uttering harsh words. Watching the Grandmaster's departing figure, Xiao Wu gritted her teeth. What kind of Grandmaster is this expressionless man? Humph, Sister Xiao Wu, keep your voice down. He's at least a teacher at the school, even if he doesn't teach. Wang Shen quickly stopped Xiao Wu. Speaking of which, did third brother really become his disciple? Wang Shen looked at Tang San. Yes, of course, the Grandmaster's reputation isn't very good. I heard he was expelled from Spirit City for deceiving the Holy Maiden of the Spirit Hall. It seems the title of Grandmaster is just something he's given himself, and he's been freeloading here ever since. Faced with Wang Shen's well-intentioned reminder, Tang San's eyes widened, a cold glint flashing within them, intimidating Wang Shen. I hope this is the first and last time. My teacher is not for you to judge. Sorry, the atmosphere suddenly became awkward. Yi Chu frowned. He felt something was off about Wang Shen's words, quite different from what he knew. Had the Spirit Hall lost all shame? How could Yu Xiaogang's deception of the Holy Maiden become such a public knowledge? Wasn't the Master's theory and title spread with Bibi Duang's help? How did it become self-proclaimed? Taking advantage of Yi Chu's inattention, Xiao Wu quickly took his hand, her palm slightly bluish, and gently squeezed it. Tang San, already in a bad mood because of Wang Sheng's words, felt even more uncomfortable seeing this scene. You guys eat, I have something to discuss with my teacher, he said, turning to leave. Xiao Wu, what are you doing? Yi Chu, coming back to his senses, tried to pull his hand back, but failed. The silly rabbit grabbed his arm. Sister Xiao Wu said she would protect you, of course she has to check if you're hurt. Xiao Wu pouted her rabbit lips, puffing out her cheeks. During the tug-of-war, he caught a glimpse of Tang San's back and was a little puzzled. Huh? Why did Xiao-san leave? Maybe I said something wrong. Third brother said he had something to discuss with the master. Wang Sheng scratched his head. He was just telling the truth. How about I treat you to this meal? Okay, what's politeness? Xiao Wu had no idea, and dragged Yi Chu off to get food. Yi Chu turned around. Thank you then, it's nothing. The next day, Tang San asked for leave to look for work. Yi Chu knew he was preparing for soul hunting and would be using his chaotic cloak at the blacksmith shop. Tang San, Yi Chu called out, thank you so much for your help yesterday, otherwise I would have been in big trouble. You're welcome, I just didn't want to see Xiao Wu get hurt. Tang San nodded and prepared to leave. Why don't we look for work together? I want to earn more money too. Tang San was silent for a moment, then finally nodded in agreement. Okay. Afterwards, the two went to a blacksmith shop together. Watching Tang San sweating among a group of grown men, Yi Chu, who had already activated his Sharingan, smiled slightly. This trip was worthwhile. During the iron forging process, Tang San not only used the chaotic cloak hammer technique, but also the mysterious jade hand. Yi Chu observed all of his movements and soul power operation patterns. Chapter 9 Don't Ignore Me. Although he couldn't record and copy everything after only seeing it once, learning a little bit would be enough. The techniques of leveraging and stacking force could also increase his combat power. It's worth mentioning that Yi Chu secretly watched Tang San all night. In the middle of the night, accompanied by Xiao Wu calling out Daming, Erming, Tang San meditated alone, completely unaware that Yi Chu had seen the entire trajectory of his Intersects mysterious heaven skill. Even his purple demon eye cultivation this morning couldn't escape Yi Chu's Sharingan. With a few more tries, the purple demon eye and the mysterious heaven skill can be perfected. Yi Chu clenched his fist. These two things were extremely useful to him. The purple demon eye improved his mental power and could also help him train his eyes, allowing his Sharingan to evolve to the 3-tomo stage as soon as possible. The mysterious heaven skill could help him increase his soul power cultivation speed. In the Douluo continent, where there were few cultivation techniques, this was something unique. After Tang San finished his display, Yichu finally left. Tang San, now that you've found a job you like, I'll be leaving now, okay, take care. After waving goodbye to Tang San, this walking treasure trove, Yichu found a carving shop and became an apprentice. This was somewhat related to carpentry. Carving required intense concentration, which helped improve mental strength. He then went to the market and bought some carrots. Rabbit had given him all her money, he couldn't let her miss out on a meal she liked. When Yichu returned to dormitory 7, Tang San was already back. Wang Xing, Tang San, and the others were gathered around Xiao Wu, Tang San seemingly comforting her. What happened? Yichu asked, puzzled. This afternoon, Xiao Wu's bag was damaged, and she cried for a long time. Wang Sheng had a bruise on his lip. It seemed she'd been bullied by those noble students again. Xiao Wu clutched her small bag to her chest, glancing tearfully at Yichu standing beside her. Yichu glanced at her, then at the small bag in her arms, paying her no further attention. After putting down the bag, he turned to leave again. Yichu, you and Xiao Wu are the closest. Aren't you going to comfort her? Tang San called out to him. You too comfort her. I have some things to do at my new job. Click. He left dormitory 7 after saying that. Tang San opened his mouth, wanting to stop Yichu from leaving, but the words stuck in his throat. Seeing this, Xiao Wu lowered her head again, her once upright rabbit ears drooping, and large tears slid onto the cotton quilt printed with white rabbits. This pitiful sight, like a pear blossom in the rain, struck Tang San's heart like a ton of bricks. He gently comforted her. Xiao Wu, don't cry. I will avenge you. Tang San, who had lived 2 lives, had never experienced anything like this before. He even took out the radish that Master had asked him to prepare for Luo Sanpao. Look, I bought you your favorite radishes. White radishes are the worst. All of you, get out of here, Xiao Wu shouted, pulling the blanket over her head. A muffled sound came from under the blanket. Let me be alone, boo-hoo. The people around her exchanged glances and shook their heads. Yichu is really too much, Wang Xing complained unhappily. Sister Xiao Wu takes the best care of him, and this is how he acts. Alright. Let's go to class. Xiao Wu should be fine by the time we get back. Tang San felt a strange sense of satisfaction. On a whim, he said to Xiao Wu, these radishes are here. If you're hungry, get lost, Xiao Wu shouted angrily, interrupting him. Wang Sheng covered his face. My goodness, Tang San, she just said white radishes were bad, and you've already forgotten? He pulled the embarrassed Tang San away, and everyone went to class. Dormitory 7 became empty, except for the little rabbit crying alone under the blanket. The sobbing continued for a long time, and Xiao Wu became more and more heartbroken. Yichu. I hate you, really, Xiao Wu shouted loudly from under the covers, but suddenly realized something was wrong. The blanket that had been moving was now still. Yichu's voice suddenly rang out, catching her off guard. Why did you come back? I don't want to talk to you. Ignoring Xiao Wu's voice, he picked up his chair and sat down on the edge of her bed. Is this how you plan to talk to me? HMPH. Facing Xiao Wu's cold snort, Yichu gently patted the blanket covering her. I went out to get some tools. Don't you want to fix the comb your mother left you? Yichu quietly waited for Xiao Wu's reply. Really? I even bought you your favorite carrots when I came back. Crunch. Taking a carrot out of his bag, Yichu took a bite himself. If you don't come out now, I'll finish it. You dare? Xiao Wu, her voice trembling with tears, crawled out from under the covers, grabbed Yichu's collar, and glared at him fiercely. I've cried so much, and you're still making me angry. Looking at Xiao Wu through the black silk bandage, Yichu couldn't bear it anymore. His eyes were red and swollen, 2 tear tracks streaking his cheeks. He looked utterly haggard. He slowly reached out and placed his hand on her pretty face, his thumb gently rubbing the corner of her eye. Xiao Wu's face is all messed up from crying, her pink bunny ears swayed wildly on her head, and Yichu suddenly felt that Xiao Wu's face was hot to the touch. Grabbing Yichu's hand, Xiao Wu looked at him earnestly. I'll never call you Xiao Chu again, please don't ignore me, okay? What are you thinking? It's just a name, I'm not that petty. Then why did you suddenly stop wanting to talk to me? Thinking of these things, she felt a pang of grievance, and tears welled up in her eyes again. How could I ignore you? I'm here to comfort you, aren't I? Yichu raised an eyebrow. There were some things he didn't intend to tell her yet. Really, I was thinking of buying you carrots when I went out. That's good. Xiaochu. She wrapped her arms around Yichu's neck and leaned on his shoulder. Yichu gently hugged her back and patted her back. Okay, take the things out, I'll fix it for you. Here, there are some carrots. He let go of Xiao Wu and placed the bag of carrots in front of her. Give me that one. Yichu looked at her strangely. You're not going to eat it? You only took a bite. Don't waste it. Xiao Wu stammered an explanation. Yichu didn't want to dwell on such a small matter, so he handed her the carrot he had already taken a bite of. Sitting cross-legged on the bed, fiddling with the comb in his hand, Xiao Wu leaned on his shoulder, silently munching on the carrot, looking at Yichu, feeling that the carrot she was eating tasted especially sweet. After a long time, Yichu finally fixed her comb and even thoughtfully stuck a little white rabbit on the crack. It's fixed. Are you satisfied? Yes, it's great. It looks even better than before. Xiao Wu nodded quickly. He handed her the comb. Here, I'll return these tools now. Wait. There's one more thing to fix. What is it? Yichu asked, puzzled. Wasn't there only a comb inside? And this? The bamboo dragonfly you made for me. Her crimson eyes looked at him firmly, unwavering. Yichu was taken aback. I'll make a new one later, it's different. I want this one. Alright. Seeing he couldn't persuade her, Yichu had no choice but to give in. Luckily, it was only the bottom rod that broke, otherwise it would have been difficult to fix. Chapter 10 X-Ray Vision. Time flies, and more than a year has passed since he arrived in Notting City. Yichu, sitting cross-legged on the bed, opened his eyes and picked up Xiao Wu's small mirror beside him. Finally, to Tomo, an uncontrollable smile played on Yichu's lips. He couldn't help but marvel at the effectiveness of the mysterious heaven technique and the purple demon eye. His Sharingan had evolved again, his soul power had increased from level 6 to level 8, and his cultivation speed had reached the level of innate soul power level 7. His cultivation speed would only increase from there. He glanced at the still sleeping Xiao Wu, then at Tang San's empty bed. Yichu tied the black silk ribbon back up and quickly got up. The purple aura of the morning was not to be missed, as it could greatly improve the cultivation speed of the purple demon eye. For the past year, he had lived a very fulfilling life. At sunrise, after Tang San left, he would also leave, secretly cultivating the purple demon eye. He listened attentively to classes in the morning. Without a good teacher, he could only listen carefully, as he still lacked knowledge about the ways of soul masters. He wasn't worried about spirit beasts. With a 100,000-year-old spirit beast by his side, he could consult with it from time to time and benefit greatly. In the afternoon, he became a carving apprentice. With the blessing of his Sharingan, his carvings had already gained some fame, and he even had his own small studio. In the evening, he would either cultivate diligently or spend time with Xiao Wu, or spar with her. Since the day Tang San obtained his spirit ring, and after Xiao Wu and Tang San defeated Xiao Chenayu's group, Xiao Wu had become the big sister of Notting Academy. To allow Yichu to spend more time with her, he also delegated some of his work at the academy to others. Passing by Xiao Wu's bedside, he straightened the blankets she had kicked off. Going outside, he found his usual spot on a treetop, first using his Sharingan to scan the surroundings and make sure no one was around before beginning his cultivation. As the sun rose, wisps of purple aura surged forth from the east. Lifting the black sash over his eyes, his black pupils turned blood red, and the two black tomo slowly rotated, the black pupils between them shimmering with purple. Perhaps influenced by the purple demon eye, when he activated his Sharingan, the black pupils between the tomo also turned purple, and he even gained X-ray vision when concentrating. Yichu could only attribute this change to mutation in his martial soul. As for whether this mutation was good or bad, well, there were quite a few advantages, except that he became increasingly unconventional. It was best not to reveal this ability, as it could easily lead to misunderstandings. The purple aura was short-lived, and Yichu quickly finished his cultivation. When he returned, Xiao Wu was already up. Xiaochu. Just as he opened the dormitory door, a delicate body rushed towards him, bumping into him. Xiao Wu, how many times have I told you, girls should be more reserved? Yichu helplessly tried to push her away. Okay, Yichu looked at her speechlessly. She was a woman of few words, she said okay, but hugged him even tighter. Oh, Xiao-san, you're back too. Xiao Wu looked at Tang San at the door and released Yichu. Good morning, Xiao Wu. Tang San smiled and waved to Xiao Wu. And Yichu? Looking at Yichu. Tang San's expression stiffened and became unnatural. He was already showing signs of considering Yichu a rival. Fortunately, Yichu didn't care much. Ever since copying Tang San's techniques, he had anticipated that once exposed, it would be a fight to the death. The sex ideology was deeply ingrained in Tang San. However, as a classmate and roommate, Yichu was always polite to him, nodding to show respect. You're back just in time. Let's go to class together. Xiao Wu took Yichu's hand, ready to leave. No. I have something to do. Yichu smiled apologetically, pulling his hand away to refuse. What's wrong with you again? Yichu stomped her foot angrily, displeased with Yichu's behavior. He didn't even spend more time with her. Yichu, if you have any difficulties, you can tell me. Maybe I can help. The polite Tang San Xiao's eyes lit up. He also extended a helping hand to Yichu. If you can help, of course I'd be happy to, but cultivation is ultimately a personal matter. Yichu's face fell, his brows furrowed, and worry arose. He continued, you guys are almost at level 20, and I haven't even reached level 10 yet. Of course, I have to work twice as hard to cultivate. Sister Xiao Wu can protect you, Xiao Wu said. Yichu was unmoved by the silly rabbit's words, but Tang San's words almost made him freeze. I can protect you with Xiao Wu. Tang San's voice grew softer and softer, and he himself became uncertain. Yichu thought to himself, good heavens, when did Tang San start having such thoughts? No need to say more, you guys go to class. He turned and waved, walking away skillfully. In fact, Yichu said these kinds of things every month or so, constantly exposing his weaknesses. His purpose was simply to reassure Tang San that he wasn't good enough for Xiao Wu, but he still had a chance, and to reassure Tang Hao, who was hiding in the shadows, that he wasn't good enough for a 100,000-year spirit ring and had no competitive edge compared to his son. Surely they, father and son, couldn't even tolerate a trash less than level 10? Yichu's figure slowly receded into the distance. Xiao Wu looked at Yichu, and Tang San looked at Xiao Wu. The timing of Tang San's realization of his feelings was completely different from the original story. Perhaps this was the so-called the unattainable is always alluring. After more than a year together, Tang San felt that Xiao Wu was the one he could protect for life. He didn't understand why Xiao Wu was always clinging to Yichu, who was so ordinary yet so confident, and why he was so much better than Yichu. However, he wouldn't give up. With Yichu's talent, the gap between him and Xiao Wu would only widen. Having figured all this out, Tang San suddenly felt his soul power was about to break through. If Yichu knew, he would definitely exclaim, no wonder he's the protagonist. Xiao Wu, let's go to class. Tang San's words brought Xiao Wu back to her senses. Okay, let's go. Let's ignore that guy. Okay. Hearing this, Tang San was overjoyed and nodded repeatedly, quickly following her steps, walking side by side. Looking at Xiao Wu's profile, an awkward smile appeared on his face, which was somewhat dark from years of blacksmithing. Completely unaware, ignore him was just Xiao Wu's catchphrase towards Yichu. She couldn't help but cling to him whenever she saw him. Meanwhile, Yichu, who had already left Nodding Academy, was on the street, heading towards our shop. That silly rabbit is really naive. If your identity is exposed, it's hard to say who will protect whom. Yichu smiled wryly, feeling immense pressure. Having already reached level 8, he needed to prepare for his first ring. Half an hour later, they finally arrived at their destination and stood beside the shopkeeper who was unloading goods. Boss, do you have the saltpeter I asked for last time? It's you, young man. Yes, come with me. He still remembered Yichu, this strange customer, and had initially misunderstood him, thinking Yichu was blind. After all, who in their right mind would bind their eyes with black silk? Yichu, I'm a decent person, it's just that these eyes aren't decent eyes. Chapter 11 Better to be prepared. Without wasting much time, Yichu received a bag of saltpeter from the shop owner and left. He went to his workplace, a carving workshop, entered his private studio, took out a pestle, ground the saltpeter, and then sifted it through a sieve. The raw materials are all ready. Yichu took out some charcoal and some sulfur he had prepared beforehand from a drawer, mixing the three together in different proportions. Although the method of making gunpowder was relatively simple, Yichu didn't know the proportions of these raw materials and would have to experiment a few more times. He simply didn't feel safe entering the Soul Hunter forest alone. His Sharingan currently lacked offensive capabilities, and he hadn't yet tried using Jinjutsu to control soul beasts. In short, it was better to be prepared. Leaving the bustling city, he arrived at a secluded grove of trees and began his day's experiments. PFFT, PFFT, dot. Bang! After several duds, he finally heard a sound. Yichu then sped up. As dusk fell, Yichu, covered in dust and grime, finally began his journey home, walking with a lighter step. Although the gunpowder wasn't as powerful as he'd imagined, quantity could lead to quality, even if it was troublesome. It was more than enough to deal with thousand-year-old soul beasts. Against soul masters, however, it was somewhat useless. In actual combat, soul masters were much smaller than soul beasts, and their mobility was too great. The explosives thrown out would be gone before they even detonated. Currently, the gunpowder Yichu had made was only suitable for large-scale battles and dealing with soul beasts. I'm back, Yichu's voice rang out in Dormitory 7. Xiao, you're finally back. I was so bored without you. Only Xiao Wu was in Dormitory 7, Tang-san had gone to study with Grandmaster, and the others had their own work. Almost every day at this time, Xiao Wu would wait for Yichu to return to the dormitory. Like a swallow returning to its nest, she threw herself into Yichu's arms. She sniffed. Xiao, what's that smell on you? It's really strong. Your clothes and hair are all messy. Cough cough, she said, using her hands to comb Yichu's hair and patting the dust off his clothes, which triggered a cough. Alright, Yichu grabbed her hand. I need to take a shower first. How about you go buy me some food? No problem, but, she initially agreed loudly, then suddenly became a little shy, blushing and looking at Yichu expectantly. What's wrong? Yichu asked curiously. I'm out of money. Tang-san paid for all our meals today. Xiao Wu's resentful gaze made Yichu a little embarrassed. Although she received a gold soul coin from the spirit hall every month, most of that money ended up in Yichu's pocket. It was indeed his oversight. He took out his money pouch and put it in Xiao Wu's hand. Here, take this and spend it. If you're still hungry, you can buy more. That's great, Xiao, you're so kind. After hugging Yichu again, she skipped away from the dormitory. Yichu was left standing there muttering to himself, am I really that kind? I'm such a silly rabbit. After dinner, Xiao Wu tried to pull Yichu out for a walk, but he refused. Come on Xiao, I'll show you something good. What good thing? Clang clang clang. Xiao Wu's sleeve slid down, revealing her forearm, on which was a delicate, wrist guard-like object, with several sharp, short arrows embedded around it. This is a sleeve dart. Yichu's eyes lit up. He hadn't expected Tang-san to be giving away hidden weapons. Huh? Xiao, do you know this? Tang-san said it's his secret. Xiao Wu was also surprised that Yichu recognized it. She had originally wanted to show off. It really is his secret, only he knows how to make these things called hidden weapons, Yichu explained. Xiao, you know about hidden weapons? Xiao Wu had only heard the term today. She hadn't expected Yichu to know it already. However, she didn't think much of it and still wanted to pull Yichu out for a walk. Come on, I'll show you its power. Okay, alright then, let's go then. She pulled Yichu out the door. They strolled to the lakeside and sat side by side under a tree. Let's begin, Yichu urged. Why the rush? Humph, I'll shoot it right now. Xiao Wu rolled her eyes at him, thinking he was such a blockhead. Watch closely. Before she finished speaking, Xiao Wu aimed her arm at the tree trunk beside her, and a whooshing sound rang out. Whoosh, thud. The arrow embedded itself in the tree trunk, sinking several inches deep. Yichu didn't need to go forward to check. His Sharingan, already activated, saw everything clearly. How was it? Impressive, right? Xiao Wu raised an eyebrow, a hint of pride in her voice. Not bad, Yichu nodded. To be honest, he was a little disappointed, or rather, his expectations had been too high. Mechanized hidden weapons did seem decent now, but their lethality was limited. In the later stages, only poison would be of any use. However, hidden weapons, the key is the surprise. It's all about disregarding martial ethics and striking unexpectedly. It's only because the native Douluo continent people didn't understand these things that Tang-san didn't have so many highlight moments. Can I take it off and see it? Although it wouldn't be needed later, it wouldn't stop Yichu from learning. He had his own plans. Let me see. Xiao Wu paused for a moment, her eyes darting around. Is that not allowed? Of course not, she quickly and excitedly responded, Xiao Wu not wanting to refuse Yichu at all. Her face flushed, she lowered her head and stretched out her arm, whispering, actually, you don't have to untie it. Up, Yichu sighed, speechless. This rogue rabbit always liked to take advantage of him like this? Okay then, Yichu was about to reach out when she beat him to it, their fingers intertwined. Faced with his strange gaze, Xiao Wu stammered, just look at it like this, it's convenient. Ignoring these details, Yichu untied the black stockings, his Sharingan appearing, the tiny pupil in the center glowing with purple light, dissecting the structure of the hidden arrow. As expected, they tampered with it. If anyone tries to remove it, it will automatically disintegrate. However, I've already seen it clearly. Yichu carefully examined the hidden arrow. Xiao Wu also stared at him intently, her crimson eyes unblinking. As if remembering something, she asked, Xiao Chu, do you not like Tang Sen? What are you talking about? How could I like a man? He released Xiao Wu's arm, his blood-red eyes, tinged with purple, looking at her. Yichu froze. Everything went white before his eyes. Xiao Wu met his gaze, her heart pounding, her face flushed like a sunset. I didn't mean that. I meant you don't seem to like him very much. Seeing Yichu's lack of reaction, Xiao Wu called again, Yichu? Huh? Oh, Yichu snapped out of his daze, shaking his head. His Sharingan was already closed. He silently chanted Amitabha 3 times, hoping Buddha would forgive him. The atmosphere is getting lively in Chapter 12. Xiao Wu, who had never seen Yichu like this before, cupped his face in her hands, examining him closely. What's wrong? Are you feeling unwell? No, nothing. I was just thinking about something else. Yichu casually brushed it off. Xiao Wu had no idea what had just happened. But Xiao Chu looked so beautiful just now. Thinking of her actions, she felt a little smug, and her blushing eyes seemed to be covered with a layer of mist. She thought she had taken advantage of Yichu and was feeling smug, unaware that Yichu had already won big. Yichu quickly changed the subject. By the way, what did you ask me just now? I said, do you dislike Tang Sen? Xiao Wu looked at Yichu in front of her. Because of the gesture of cupping his face, they were very close, making her feel a little dizzy. Was my expression that obvious? Yichu frowned. He thought he had been quite polite, treating Wang Sheng and Tang Sen equally. No, it's just that I've looked at you a lot, it's my intuition telling me. She hugged Yichu's arm again, nuzzling her head against his shoulder. Only in front of Yichu would she act like this. Even though she called herself Sister Xiao Wu, her behavior was exactly like a little wife. Xiao Wu, there are some things I can't tell you yet. I'm sorry, it's okay, I believe you. Her crescent-shaped eyes warmed Yichu. Yichu didn't speak, leaning back against a tree trunk behind him, Xiao Wu leaning against his chest, listening to his heartbeat, until night fell. The full moon was reflected in the lake, radiating a soft, bright light. Xiao Chu, did you see anything just now? Which one are you talking about? Did you see anything else just now? Ahem, of course not, Yichu answered decisively. Xiao Wu looked up at him suspiciously. So what happened? I saw it clearly. Replicating the hidden blade shouldn't be a problem, Yichu told her truthfully. That's good. Hurry up and make one. Compared to what Tang San gave me, Sister Xiao Wu still prefers what Xiao Chu makes. She hugged his neck, wanting their faces to touch. Well, I'll try my best. Yichu is speechless. If Tang San knew, wouldn't he cry in the bathroom? But Xiao Wu, you can't tell Tang San about this, or it'll be troublesome, Yichu reminded her. I know, Sister Xiao Wu isn't stupid, really, Yichu playfully pinched her cheek. Are you trying to kill me? Believe me, Sister Xiao Wu will beat you up. Xiao Wu felt her intelligence had been insulted and punched Yichu hard for a while before stopping. After a while of playful fighting, Yichu suggested going back. Let's go back early. Going back so soon again? Xiao Wu was a little reluctant, it was too short, she wasn't satisfied. Nevertheless, she obediently followed Yichu towards the dormitory. Yichu could only apologize for this. He didn't like this either. Every time they were together, it felt like someone was cheating on him. But the possibility of eyes lurking in the shadows forced Yichu to be careful. He had a premonition that as his relationship with Xiao Wu grew closer, his days by her side were numbered. For Tang Hao, the 100,000-year soul ring was not to be lost. It seems the matter of the immortal herbs should be put on the agenda. Sorry, Xiao Wu. Glancing at the silly rabbit still laughing beside him, Yichu decided to implement the plan he had previously devised. He was determined to obtain the immortal herbs from the ice and fire yin-yang well. Although he didn't recognize those immortal herbs, it didn't matter, Tang San knew. He just needed to use Xiao Wu. And, he also wanted the Zhuan Yu hand, Ghost Shadow Perplexing Steps, and others. Xiao Chu. What are you thinking about? While they were still walking, Xiao Wu, who had been flirting with the flowers and grass by the roadside, jumped in front of Yichu, facing him with her hands behind her back. He moved forward, she stepped back, and the two looked at each other. After walking for a while, Yichu stood still and slowly spoke, his expression serious. Xiao Wu, I need your help with something. What is it? If it's something Xiao Wu can do, I'll definitely help you. Xiao Wu stopped, walked up to Yichu, put her hands behind her back, tilted her head slightly, and waited quietly. I'm not joking with you, I'm not joking with you either. Xiao Wu also put away her smile and looked firmly into his eyes. Xiao Wu is serious, or with a soft cry, Xiao Wu was pulled into Yichu's arms. Xiao Wu stood on tiptoe, their heads touching, resting on each other's shoulders. This is the first time Xiao Chu has hugged me on his own initiative. The cool moonlight stained the night, and the slight breeze of the night blew by, but Xiao Wu could only feel warmth. She wrapped her arms around his back and returned the hug. You really are a silly rabbit. Hearing Yichu's voice, Xiao Wu, unusually, did not refute, but just smiled foolishly. Yes, whatever Xiao Chu says. These words made Yichu's heart tremble, and he sighed inwardly. He slowly pushed her away, pressed her shoulders, and looked at her. If you ever encounter danger in the future, I will do everything in my power to protect you, but your level is lower than mine. Let Sister Xiao protect you. Xiao raised her fist. Yichu frowned. He disliked this feeling and said in a deep voice, I'm serious. Although I'm still weak, I promise. I'll only die before you. Xiao froze, her expression stiff, a mixture of laughter and tears, until finally her eyes reddened and her eyelashes wet. Xiao believes in you. Half an hour later, Yichu and Xiao were almost at the dormitory entrance. Yichu walked alongside, slapping his cheeks, making a loud slapping sound. He hadn't expected that he, usually so composed, had gotten carried away. He needed to sober up. That silly rabbit was so obedient, it was heartbreaking. Her emotions had gotten to that point, and Yichu had almost lost control, nearly tearing his heart out. Xiao, on the other hand, giggled, lightly touching her lips, savoring her victory. Seeing Yichu's actions, she asked in confusion, Xiao Chu, what are you doing? Nothing, I'm swatting mosquitoes. Swatting mosquitoes? Don't tell me you're having second thoughts. Xiao Wu looked at him pitifully. How could I? I keep my word. Really, really, Yichu answered without hesitation. Then why did you dodge when I kissed you earlier? Xiao Wu bit her lip, pouting, still staring straight at him even though she was shy. I wasn't ready yet. Yichu, who had been single-flowered in 2 lifetimes, blushed as well. It was unbearable, truly unbearable. How has seeing the usually cold Yichu become so amusing? Xiao Wu laughed heartily. By the way, what do you need my help with? Xiao Chu, I'll tell you tomorrow, let's go inside quickly. Yichu patted and rubbed his face a few more times. Okay. It was clear that she was in a good mood, and she even skipped along as she walked. Chapter 13 Late Night Snack. The two entered dormitory 7 one after the other. Wang Sheng and the others, along with Tang San, had already returned. Upon seeing Xiao Wu, Tang San was about to greet her, but stopped when he saw Yichu behind her. His eyes darted back and forth between the two suspiciously. Yichu calmly returned to his bed. Wang Sheng beat him to the punch, blocking Xiao Wu at the door. Sister Xiao Wu, where did you go? Mind your own business. Xiao Wu glared at him, but she was in a good mood today and didn't bother arguing, readily telling him, I just went for a walk. A walk? Wang Sheng asked, puzzled, glancing at Yichu again. Sister Xiao Wu, did you cry? Cry? Who cried? Don't talk nonsense. Xiao Wu was the boss, how could she admit to crying? What about her position as the boss? What? You mean last time? Last time, she wasn't the boss of Notting Academy yet. Tang San, who already had some suspicions, immediately noticed Xiao Wu's red eyes and the faint handprint on Yichu's face after Wang Sheng's words. Once his romantic thoughts started wandering, nothing could stop him. He felt his chance to shine had come, so he immediately ran to Yichu's side, pointing his finger at him. Yichu, did you bully Xiao Wu? Yichu froze on the spot. Why am I involved? Did you train your purple demon eye for nothing? Did Yichu see Xiao Wu was smiling when she came in? Yichu was now afraid that Tang San would add, "You're courting death." He couldn't handle that. How could I have that ability? Yichu quickly denied it. He was joking. If anyone was being bullied, it was him. He'd been forcibly kissed by the rogue rabbit. Tang San clearly wasn't going to let it go so easily. If you didn't bully her, why are her eyes red? And where did that handprint on your face come from? Holy crap, do rabbits not have red eyes? Yichu's lips twitched. Do you believe me if I said? I slapped myself on the face. Tang San, whose intelligence reigned supreme, sneered. How, do you think I'm stupid? I'm not like Xiao Wu, so easily fooled. Yichu was about to speak when Xiao Wu, who had finally finished arguing with Wang Sheng, arrived and overheard Tang San's words. Xiao San, what do you mean? Are you saying I'm stupid? Xiao Wu glared at Tang San. No one but Yichu could call her stupid. Xiao Wu, that's not what I meant. Tang San realized the inappropriateness of his words. That's for the best, otherwise, Sister Xiao Wu will deal with you. HMPH, looking at Xiao Wu's spoiled and domineering appearance, Tang San felt his heart melting. Xiao Wu, tell me, did Yichu bully you? I'll help you deal with him. Xiao Chu? When did he bully me? Xiao Wu pointed at her chin with her index finger, thinking seriously. It seems only I am the one who bullies Xiao Chu, she thought, her face burning slightly. Damn it. Why wasn't it me? Tang San looked at Xiao Wu's rosy and radiant face, and even though he was burning with jealousy, he maintained his composure. No? Then why are your eyes red? What's with a handprint on his face? I got sand in my eye and it made me cry. She cupped her face, seemingly recalling something, her smile becoming sickeningly sweet. As she reminisced, she remembered something funny and burst out laughing. As for the handprint on Xiao Chu's face, he slapped himself. Haha, he slapped himself. Tang San felt a sting on his face as he listened to Xiao Wu's clear laughter. Was this some new way to woo a girl? He glanced at Yichu, who simply spread his hands innocently and shrugged. He had expected this situation. The rabbit was indeed very tempting, soft and juicy, he wouldn't let go. Xiao Chu, are you alright? Xiao Wu, having finished laughing, came to Yichu and asked him with concern. It's nothing, Tang San only asked me a few questions. That's good. Having spent so much time with Tang San, Xiao Wu could tell a bit about his character from his use of hidden weapons. She was afraid Tang San might attack Yichu. Tang San sensed something was wrong. Although Yichu and Xiao Wu had always been close, tonight, he sensed something different. He felt that Xiao Wu's gaze towards Yichu had changed, becoming much gentler. His fists clenched so tightly they cracked, until Xiao Wu's voice brought him back to his senses. Xiao San, thank you for your concern, but I'm really fine. Xiao Wu had become polite? No, she just felt that the favor Yichu needed her to do might be related to Tang San, hence the thank you. Thanking Tang San for Yichu's sake, no problem. It's nothing, it's nothing. I didn't think things through and wronged Yichu. I'm sorry. Hearing the words thank you, Tang San felt he deserved it, inwardly shouting, she cares about me, it's alright, it's my fault. Why slap yourself like that? It's my fault. Yichu didn't want to dwell on it and glanced at Xiao Wu, who was secretly laughing. Yes, it's Xiao Chu's fault. Xiao Wu winked at Yichu with a teasing look in her eyes. Hearing Xiao Wu's assessment, Tang San was satisfied. Sure enough, his concern hadn't been in vain. Then, remembering something, he picked up a food box from the table. By the way, Xiao Wu, didn't you eat enough tonight? I brought back some midnight snacks. Midnight snacks? What are those? Hearing about food, Xiao Wu perked up. She was indeed a little hungry after her walk. Yichu, come and have some too. Consider it my apology. Oh? What's this good stuff? Yichu, Xiao Wu, and Tang San sat around a table, looking at the food box in front of them, waiting for Tang San to reveal the answer. Tang San opened the food box and pushed it in front of Xiao Wu. Xiao Wu, look. Fresh roasted rabbit. I asked the teacher to have the kitchen prepare this. I used to eat it all the time in Holy Soul Village. It was so delicious. Tang San stared at the box as he spoke, clearly showing how much he loved it. He didn't notice Xiao Wu's stiff expression, her face darkening. Just then, Yichu, also tempted, reached out. Ah! Yichu, Xiao Wu shouted, shoving Yichu's hand away. You're not allowed to eat it, Tang San, thinking Xiao Wu wanted to enjoy it all to herself, thought, great, Xiao Wu loves it. He pushed the food towards Xiao Wu again, then Xiao Wu, you can eat more. Ah! Tang San, Xiao Wu went berserk. Her crimson eyes widened, her teeth clenched. Poor Tang San was still confused. What's wrong? I'll eat your ass, get out of here, Xiao Wu cursed. Tang San was completely dumbfounded. Noticing Yichu still swallowing, she glared at him. Yichu, if you dare eat this, I'm ignoring you, Yichu chuckled dryly, tears welling in his eyes as he quickly wiped them away. The chef's skills were indeed undeniable. Xiao Wu, what's wrong? Tang San asked timidly. Was the rabbit meat not delicious? Even Wang Sheng next to them was swallowing hard. Chapter 14 Immortal Herb. Xiao Wu was in a good mood, but seeing the plate of rabbit meat immediately turned her mood sour. Several rabbit heads covered in sauce were facing her, making her blood pressure rise considerably. She loudly questioned Tang San, I'm asking you. Where did these rabbits come from? Xiao Wu stood with her hands on her hips, glaring fiercely at Tang San. Tang San still didn't understand why Xiao Wu was acting this way, and honestly replied, I went outside today and shot them with a hidden arrow. There were several in one litter. I personally skinned and bled them, so they're definitely fresh. Yichu covered his face, sensing something was wrong. Sure enough, shut up. You dare to stay here? Hearing these words, Xiao Wu didn't want to say anything more. Whoosh, Xiao Wu flicked her hair, and her scorpion braid wrapped around Tang San's neck. Xiao Wu? Ugh, thud, Tang San, completely bewildered, felt himself fall over, flying high into the air before slamming heavily to the ground with a thud. Xiao Wu then pressed forward, stepping on him. Ouch, Xiao Wu, he winced in pain, looking at her in confusion as to why she had suddenly attacked him. Seeing this, Yichu felt a chill. Luckily, he hadn't been thrown like that while stewing rabbit meat, otherwise, with his small frame, he wouldn't have been able to get out of bed for half a month. Xiao Wu, let it go. Seeing that she still wanted to fight, Yichu quickly stopped her. If things got serious, her parents would come knocking. He took Xiao Wu's hand, pulled her aside, and then turned back to help Tang San up. Tang San, are you alright? I'm fine, cough cough. I'm fine. Tang San clutched his chest, glancing at Xiao Wu with lingering fear. HMPH. Xiao Wu is so infuriating. Xiao Wu glared at Tang San, then looked at the food box on the table, growing angrier with each glance. Wang Sheng. Wang Sheng? Wang Sheng, Xiao Wu, I'm here. Wang Sheng, who had been stunned by Xiao Wu's attack, finally snapped out of his daze and ran to her side eagerly. What are your orders, Sister Xiao Wu? Take that box of cute little rabbits and bury it, huh? Wang Sheng was confused. Cute? Shouldn't it be delicious? What? Go do it now, Xiao Wu glared at him. Wang Sheng didn't want to follow in Tang San's footsteps, so he nodded and grabbed the food box to leave. Xiao was worried. What if he got greedy for such cute little rabbits? She didn't forget to warn him. Wang Sheng, if you dare to steal any, I'll kill you. Understood, understood. Wang Sheng ran out in a panic. You guys remember this, if Sister Xiao finds out anyone dares to eat rabbit meat again, get out of dormitory 7. Understand, understood, the underlings said in unison. Xiao nodded in satisfaction, turned around, and looked at Yichu and the other two beside her, and you too, especially you. Tang San, she raised her index finger, brought it close to his face, and pointed at him hatefully. Yichu touched his nose and chuckled twice. He didn't expect her to remember something that had happened so long ago. Tang San, however, was different. Looking at Xiao Wu so close to him, at her flushed face and crimson eyes, he stood there, stunned. Especially me, reflecting on Xiao Wu's words, the doubt in Tang San's eyes disappeared, gradually brightening. Everything that had just happened seemed less important. What mattered was him. Tang San. He was the most special person in Xiao Wu's heart. I understand, Xiao Wu, I'll never eat rabbit meat again. Having understood, he suddenly felt the pain in his body wasn't so bad, and immediately made a promise. Yichu, standing beside him, rubbed his reddened eyes beneath his black stockings. They stung a little. Hypnotizing Tang San with his two-tomo Sharingan was truly difficult. Yichu didn't do much more, only giving Tang San some psychological suggestions, trying to make him ignore the changes that had occurred between him and Xiao Wu that night. Otherwise, if things continued like this, Tang San would soon attack Yichu, wouldn't he? The path to death is no joke. As for whether it would work, and how effective it would be, these were not within Yichu's consideration or control. He needed to lie low, he needed time. However, if Yichu knew what Tang San was thinking, he would definitely exclaim, truly worthy of being called third brother. Top-notch understanding. The farce of the night ended abruptly, and Dormitory 7 and the entire nodding academy fell silent. Moonlight streamed through the window. After beating Tang San, Xiao Wu's anger had long since subsided. By the moonlight, she looked at Yichu, who was meditating cross-legged on the bed next to her. Thinking of what he had said, she suddenly felt that letting Yichu eat rabbit meat a few times wasn't a big deal. If anything were to happen to her in the future, this silly rabbit was already prepared. Yichu, who was cultivating, sensed something, and a red light flashed in his eyes. He looked towards Xiao Wu, but the rabbit's head had already disappeared into the blankets when he opened his eyes. The next morning, Yichu still didn't go to class. Tang San, after a night of healing, was almost fully recovered and was still very attentive, while Xiao Wu barely paid him any attention. Yichu arrived at the entrance of the Spirit Hall branch, holding paper and pen, his Sharingan already quietly activated. The drawing on the paper was exactly the chrysanthemum on the palace gate, drawn with remarkable realism thanks to Yichu's Sharingan. He also wrote on it, immortal herb, miraculous sky-reaching chrysanthemum, which grants an indestructible body upon consumption. Next, he drew a tulip from a flower shop, writing beside it, immortal herb, Kilo tulip, which grants an indestructible body upon consumption. He then drew various other flowers, some real and some fake. This was his key to obtaining information about the immortal herbs. It remained to be seen whether Tang San would take the bait, but Yichu thought it was unlikely. Even heroes have difficulty resisting the charms of beautiful women, and besides, he hardly deserved the title of hero. That evening, Yichu handed the items to Xiao Wu. Xiao Chu, what are all these? They're quite beautiful. Xiao Wu sat on the edge of the bed, swinging her legs, carefully flipping through the booklet Yichu had given her. Speaking of which, are these flowers and plants really as magical as Xiao Chu described? Some of the information here is true, and some is false, but the real immortal herbs are just as powerful as, if not more powerful than, what I wrote. Yichu knew the value of these immortal herbs inside and out. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say they were the foundation for the Shrek 7 Devil's ascension to godhood. Then is the heartbreak red mentioned here real or fake? Xiao Wu stared intently at the page with a heartbreak red written on it, savoring the story, and then looked at Yichu expectantly. This one is real. But I don't know exactly what it looks like. Yichu paused as he spoke. I see Xiao Wu's tone was slightly disappointed. However, Tang San knows. Xiao Wu seemed to understand what Yichu wanted her to do. Yes, Tang San knows a lot of specific information about immortal herbs. The favor I need you to do is to get this information out of him. Yichu nodded and explained truthfully. Okay. No problem. Sure enough, it was pretty much what she guessed. Xiao Wu readily agreed. Although she wondered where Xiao Chu had gotten the information, it didn't matter, she trusted him. Xiao Wu, if things go smoothly in the future, I will. Yichu's voice was interrupted by Xiao Wu's call. She knew what he was going to say, but none of that mattered. Xiao Chu was her true love, that was just a flower. Xiao Chu Yichu looked at the mischievous rabbit so close to him. Although this rabbit didn't know about boundaries, it tasted really good, sweet and soft. Another day of waiting for the rabbit to come to him. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 15. What level are you in? Spring turned to autumn, and more than 2 years had passed since Yichu arrived at Nodding Academy. It had also been nearly a year since he'd asked Xiao Wu to help him extract information about the immortal herbs. The smooth progress of events almost felt unreal to Yichu. Initially, he'd thought it would take some effort. But unexpectedly, on that very day, Xiao Wu had only flipped through a booklet in front of Tang San, and he couldn't contain himself. To gain Xiao Wu's forgiveness and to build closer to her, he revealed everything clearly. Perhaps Tang San was able to reveal it so easily because he felt these immortal herbs were somewhat ethereal. In any case, Yi Chu got what he wanted. Furthermore, after frequently having Xiao Wu spar with Tang San, he had almost completely copied Tang San's Zhuan Yu hand, Ghost Shadow Steps, and Crane Control Dragon Capture. Except for the 100 solutions to hidden weapons, poison, and chaotic cloak, Tang San's 3 major skills were practically exhausted. Yi Chu knew that what he was doing was somewhat inappropriate, but becoming enemies was inevitable, a fate sealed from the moment Xiao Wu came into his life. After all, the third principle of the Zhuangtian Bao Lu states, if you are certain your opponent has a way to kill you, do not show mercy. In the 7th dormitory, only Yi Chu was sitting cross-legged on the bed, silently cultivating. Sigh, he sighed, his voice tinged with helplessness. His soul power was already at level 10, but his Sharingan was still only at the 2 Tomo stage. This prevented him from attaching a soul ring to his martial soul. He didn't want to simply create a 400-year limited soul ring. Through his understanding over the years, Yi Chu knew that the intelligence of soul beasts was difficult to awaken. They might indeed have an advantage over humans in terms of physical strength and soul power, but in terms of spirit or soul power, humans were superior. The Sharingan could greatly enhance Yi Chu's spiritual power, and for his plans, the 3 Tomo stage was the most perfect and suitable. It could maximize his benefits. Yi Chu exhaled a breath of turbid air, no longer caring about these things. If it really didn't work out, he would just make do with the 2 Tomo stage. As usual, he habitually looked at the bed next to him. Xiao Wu, who usually clung to him, had been gone all night, and he missed her terribly. Yi Chu naturally knew what she had been doing. I wonder if she's managed to condense her second spirit ring yet. Thinking of this, a slow smile crept onto Yi Chu's lips, but his expression turned cold when he saw the bed on the other side of Xiao Wu's bed. That was Tang San's shameless bed. Perhaps Xiao Wu's frequent sparring with him had given him the illusion that he was suffering from erotomania. He wouldn't dare cause trouble when Xiao Wu was around, but as soon as she left, Yi Chu, returning from outside last night, discovered that this guy had actually moved his bed next to hers. It was truly infuriating. Click. The door to dormitory 7 opened, and a somewhat dark-skinned young man walked in. Yi Chu's gaze swept over him, and he keenly sensed that Tang San had broken through again. Tang San smiled, as if he had just seen Yi Chu. Hey? Yi Chu, still cultivating? You're really diligent. Although it was a compliment, Yi Chu heard it as nothing less than mockery. The reply was indifferent. Tang San didn't care. He went to his bedside, tidying up his things while continuing to talk. By the way, I have good news for you. I've broken through to level 20. My teacher will take me to get my second spirit ring soon, then congratulations. You'll soon become a great spirit master. Yi Chu remained unmoved, his expression unchanged. Haha. Thanks. But compared to Xiao Wu, I'm still a bit slower. But it's okay, after today, Xiao Wu and I will both be 2-ring spirit masters. As he said this, Tang San's expression became even more smug, and a hint of tenderness even flashed in his eyes. Yi Chu took all of this in, but didn't flatter him again, only curling his lip in disdain. Tang San had almost finished packing his things, using the 24 bridges under the moonlight to store them. He walked to the door, opened it, and was about to leave when he turned back. Yi Chu, you'd better work harder. Otherwise, Xiao Wu, he gave him a meaningful look before leaving. Yi Chu was amused and annoyed. What is this? A show of force? Or is he telling me to recognize my own limitations and stay away from Xiao Wu? Tang San's behavior was undoubtedly a direct insult, asking, what kind of class do you have? You're not worthy to be with Xiao Wu. Yi Chu casually stretched, deciding not to cultivate anymore. He went for a walk, perhaps finding a place to practice his Ghost Shadow Steps technique. Yi Chu left. Dormitory 7 was empty. At noon, bang, the door to Dormitory 7 was suddenly kicked open. Who dared to be so presumptuous in the dormitory of the Nodding Academy's top girl? Wang Sheng and the others inside weren't already used to it, because only their Xiao Wu dared to do such a thing. Before she could see him, she heard his voice. Xiao Chu, I'm back. The voice was clear and resonant. Xiao Wu, who had already opened her arms, glanced around. Huh? Where's Xiao Chu? Sister Xiao Wu, did you really become a great soul master? Wang Xing ran up to her and circled her twice. He had never seen such a young great soul master before. Of course. I've already gone to the spirit hall for certification, and I even brought back some gold soul coins. He patted the small satchel at his waist. Xiao Wu didn't want to say much. She had missed Yichu after being away for so long. By the way, where did Xiao Chu go? Oh, Yichu went out this morning and hasn't come back yet. Wang Xing avoided Xiao Wu's eyes. For some reason, he felt that Sister Xiao Wu seemed to have become more beautiful. Oh, I see HMPH. You said you would wait for me to come back. She pouted unhappily, waved Wang Xing away, and walked towards Yichu's bed. Huh? Xiao Wu suddenly noticed out of the corner of her eye that the bed next to her, which had been cleared out long ago, was occupied. Don't you know people aren't allowed to sleep there, Wang Xing? What's going on? Xiao Wu frowned, pointing at the bed. She was a little angry. Sister Xiao Wu, that's third brother's spot now, Wang Xing replied somewhat hesitantly. He couldn't get involved in the affairs of two big shots. Tang San, her eyebrows shot up. That guy, he's so annoying. It was one thing for him to disturb her and Xiao Chu's time together, but now he'd taken things to a whole new level. Is Xiao Chu angry because of this? Thinking this, Xiao Wu put her hands on her hips and gave the order, throw his things out. Sister Xiao Wu, isn't that a bit much? What's wrong with it? Third brother is a great soul master now, we're scared. Wang Xing bent over, scratching his head, avoiding her gaze. HMPH. Who's afraid of who? Sister Xiao Wu, do it yourself. Xiao Wu couldn't tolerate anything that threatened her relationship with Xiao Chu. The sun set, dusk fell. Tang San had successfully hunted down the ghost vine and obtained his second soul skill, parasitism. After bidding farewell to his master, Tang San hurriedly ran back to his dormitory, thinking that Xiao Wu should be back by now. Sure enough, as soon as he entered, he saw Xiao Wu sitting on the edge of the bed, looking even more beautiful. For a moment, Tang San was stunned. Xiao Wu's second soul skill, charm, had slightly changed her aura, but to Tang San, it was like poison. Xiao Wu, you're back, he whispered, his voice low and trembling, afraid of offending the beauty. HMPH, unexpectedly, Xiao Wu completely ignored him, instead giving a cold snort and turning her head away. Tang San then realized the atmosphere was strange. Wang Xing and the others in the distance were silent, and a pile of junk lay in the corridor. Chapter 16 The Path to Death. The tattered clothes gave Tang San a sense of familiarity. Upon seeing the state of his bed, Tang San's pupils contracted, and his face turned grim. The joy of becoming a great soul master was completely overshadowed. No wonder it felt familiar. It turned out that all the things lying on the floor were his. Looking at Xiao Wu's expression, Tang San tried his best not to think about her. How could she do such a thing? He tried to numb himself. Then he remembered that when he left, only Yichu was still here, and he had even made a sarcastic remark. Yes, it must be him. It can't be Xiao Wu. As if he had grasped the truth, he loudly questioned Wang Xing. Wang Xing, who did this? Was it Yichu? However, before Wang Xing's expected voice could even ring out, Xiao Wu's words shattered his hopes. HMPH, Xiao Chu would never do such a thing. I did it. Xiao Wu stood up and confronted Tang San directly. Haha, Tang San forced a laugh, still struggling in his death throes. Xiao Wu, stop joking, it must have been Yichu who did it, right? Don't worry, even if he did it, I won't do anything to him. Enough. I already said it was me. It was Sister Xiao Wu who personally threw those things away. Tang San's words were interrupted. Xiao Wu's voice seemed to transform into a giant sling, and he felt these cold slings slapping haphazardly on his face. The fake smile on his face froze. Silence fell. He lowered his head, his eyes darkened. Why? Xiao Wu, why did you do that? Sister Xiao Wu already said that no one can sleep there. Then what about Yichu? Why is he next to you? Tang San's eyes widened, pointing to the other side, to Yichu's position. Xiao Chu is different from you. Glancing at Tang San's somewhat distorted face, Xiao Wu said. How? Tang San sneered. Indeed, it's different. He's just a piece of trash who isn't even a soul master. He only knows how to hide behind you, and he even tries to take your money. Xiao Wu was silent for a moment. She felt she should be clear. She knew Tang San's feelings, but she wouldn't accept them. I think you've got it wrong. I was the one who volunteered to stand next to Xiao Chu, not him. I was the one who volunteered to stand in front of him. I was willing to protect him. I gave him the gold soul coins voluntarily. Enough. Stop talking. Tang San stopped her, shouting angrily. All this time, he had been obedient to Xiao Wu, willingly acting as her subordinate, spending all his free time with her. But he couldn't compare to Yichu, who didn't seem to care about her much. Tang San became somewhat hysterical, his eyes turning red. Xiao Wu, don't you understand my feelings? How can Yichu compare to me? I have innate full soul power just like you, while he's just a guy with innate soul power at level 1. Maybe you're right, but that doesn't matter. I like him. That's enough. Facing Tang San's persistent questioning, Xiao Wu simply responded calmly, as if stating a given fact. Only she knew that Yichu's martial soul was far from being just some level 1 innate soul power. She believed that Yichu's future achievements would not be lower than Tang San's. Tang San clenched his fists tightly, his heart filled with murderous intent, hating Yichu intensely. He didn't say anything more, silently bending down to pack his things. Xiao Wu watched coldly. She sensed the resentment in Tang San's eyes, and silently went to Yichu's spot, waiting for her Xiao Chu to return. Tang San, with his head down, had been paying close attention to Xiao Wu. Seeing her actions, his face, darkened by years of blacksmithing, darkened even more. Yichu, you've already chosen your own death. Outside dormitory 7. A pair of weathered eyes, hidden in the shadows, witnessed everything that happened inside. In his eyes, a phantom of a soft-boned rabbit glowing red light flickered in Xiao Wu's eyes. The sun sank, leaving only the afterglow of the setting sun on the horizon, the sky ablaze with red clouds. Exhausted, Yichu returned to the dormitory. Click, as soon as he entered, Yichu saw Xiao Wu sitting in his seat. Xiao Wu also saw him, her face filled with worry. Xiao Wu, you're finally back. Yichu walked straight towards her, completely unaware of the changes around him. Yichu, you stop right there. Tang San's angry voice suddenly rang out. Yichu turned around and looked at him, somewhat bewildered. Tang San, what do you want to do? Xiao Wu immediately came to Yichu's side, afraid that he would suddenly attack. Are you going to hide behind Xiao Wu forever? If you're a man, fight me. The loser leaves Xiao Wu forever. Tang San's gaze passed over Xiao Wu and went straight to Yichu. What are you posting, huh? Yichu noticed that the spot next to Xiao Wu had been cleared out, with Tang San's belongings piled haphazardly in its place. Observing Tang San closely, he saw that his eyes were bloodshot, his gaze fierce, and his expression cold. Looks like something unpleasant happened. Yichu had a guess. This had happened sooner than he expected. Don't agree to him. Xiao Wu, beside him, grabbed Yichu's hand and shook her head. Yichu, are you still trying to run away? You, Tang San. That's enough. Xiao Chu won't fight you. If you really want to fight, I'll do it. Saying this, she was about to rush towards Tang San. Fortunately, Yichu stopped Xiao Wu in time. A surge of resentment welled up in Tang San's heart. The more Xiao Wu cared about Yichu, the more jealous and frantic he became. Tang San, Xiao Wu isn't some object. I won't use her as a wager. Forget about it. Having come to this point, Yichu no longer held back. He coldly finished speaking, then took the hand of the girl beside him and left. Seeing Yichu ignore him, Tang San's anger flared. You piece of trash. Die! 2 yellow spirit rings slowly rose from Tang San's feet, one of them flashing a bright light. First spirit skill, entanglement. Blue-silver grass suddenly burst forth from the ground of the 7th dormitory, like several venomous snakes, attacking Yichu. Wang Sheng and the others were shocked by his sudden attack. Tang San, how dare you? Fortunately, Xiao Wu had been on guard and immediately stepped in front of him. To avoid hurting Xiao Wu, Tang San had to control the blue-silver grass to dodge. But Yichu clearly felt that as the blue-silver grass swept past, several spores fell onto him. Sure enough, the blue-silver grass's second spirit skill followed. Second soul skill. Parasite, Tang San shouted coldly, not stopping despite Xiao Wu's protection, his heart filled with only anger. Poof, several blue-silver grasses suddenly sprouted from Yichu's body, binding him tightly. Xiao Wu knew Tang San's blue-silver grass was poisonous and dared not delay. Second soul skill, charm, the martial soul completed its possession in an instant. A fluffy tail appearing slightly below her waist, ears standing erect, and eyes glowing red. Tang San, already infatuated with her, was immediately captivated, frozen in place. Tang San. How dare you hurt Xiao Chu? Xiao Wu showed no mercy. To her, anyone who attacked Chu was doomed. She also knew Tang San's dangerous nature. She couldn't handle his strange and unusual hidden weapons. She quickly closed in. Chapter 17. On the eve of parting. The first spirit ring lit up beneath Xiao Wu's feet. First spirit skill, waist bow, whoosh. The scorpion braid wrapped around Tang San's neck, lifting him into the air. With her back to him, Xiao Wu kicked him back with one foot, landing on his waist, using it as a fulcrum to propel Tang San high upside down. Coming to his senses, he tried to untie the braid around his neck, but it was too late. He could only watch helplessly as the ground drew closer. Thud. Ah! Tang San screamed. This time, Xiao Wu hadn't held back at all. He felt pain in every bone. Before he could even process it, the feeling of weightlessness returned. First spirit skill. Waist bow. Tang San's pupils dilated. Is Xiao Wu really going to kill me? Bang bang bang. Ignoring his thoughts, Xiao Wu mechanically repeated the use of her first spirit skill. Yi Chu had just finished tearing off the blue-silver grass from his body when he suddenly felt a chill, a sense of dread washing over him. It's him. He's nearby. Stop immediately, he said, his voice slightly hurried. Alright, Xiao Wu, snap. He grabbed Xiao Wu's wrist. Let it go, but Xiao Chu, alright, stop talking. Yi Chu slowly tightened his grip on her wrist, making it red. Xiao Wu winced slightly, looking at Yi Chu strangely. Tang San, lying on the ground, had already fainted, several bones in his body possibly broken. Wang Xing, carry Tang San to the bed, Yi Chu shouted at them. But they didn't move. Only after Xiao Wu glared at them did they react. Okay, Xiao Wu didn't care what they did to Tang San, hugging Yi Chu's arm and tilting her head back. What's wrong? He didn't answer her, only patted her head. His martial soul, hidden beneath his black silk, quietly activated. He focused his attention, his gaze passing through the walls, scanning the surroundings. Only after confirming there was nothing unusual did Yi Chu breathe a sigh of relief. Noticing his unusual behavior, Xiao Wu reached out and covered his forehead with her delicate hand. Xiao Chu, are you feeling unwell? Did you hurt yourself somewhere? Nothing, I just want some peace and quiet. Who's Jingjing? Xiao Wu pouted. She had given Tang San a good beating, and Xiao Chu hadn't even praised her. Yi Chu smiled wryly, not answering her. He felt a little tired. What a silly rabbit, so carefree. Seeing that Wang Sheng and the others had settled Tang San down, Yi Chu was about to send someone to call master. Bang bang bang. Just then, the dormitory door was pounded on like raindrops. Whoever came was definitely not in a good mood. After knocking for a long time without getting an answer, an angry voice rang out, Xiao Wu. Make them open the door right now. Wang Sheng and the others recognized the voice, but dared not approach. Uzia gang, Yi Chu murmured. Sure enough. He hadn't misjudged, Tang Hao had been nearby. Otherwise, how could Uzia gang have known so quickly that Tang San was in trouble? Without much hesitation, Yi Chu was about to open the door when Xiao Wu called out worriedly, Xiao Chu. He gave her a reassuring look. He opened the door and faced her directly. There stood Uzia gang, dressed in his graduation gown. His usual expressionless face was now wide with anger and fear. He was panting heavily, showing how quickly he had arrived. Uzia gang didn't want to run so fast, but he couldn't. He had been peacefully reading in his room when his idol, Haoshan Douluo, came knocking again. He was told that his disciple, the future golden boy, had been knocked unconscious by a little girl. Upon receiving the news, he dared not delay and rushed over. After knocking for quite some time, the door finally opened. What are you doing? Are you trying to rebel? Looking at Wang Sheng and the others huddled together inside, he was furious. His eyes swept over Yi Chu, landing on Xiao Wu, and he was about to reprimand her. Tang San is over there. Yi Chu, too lazy to listen to his nonsense, pointed to Tang San, who was slumped on the bed. Little San, Uzia gang saw the figure lying on the bed and rushed over. Little San, he shook him hard but there was no movement. Fear gradually filled his mind. He was just a good-for-nothing who had been kicked out of his family, a liar who had been expelled from the spirit hall by the holy maiden, and a fool who had been abandoned by his cousin, but he didn't want to die after being ridiculed for most of his life. He wanted to prove himself to the world. Damn it. How dare you? If anything happens to little Sen, you will all be buried with him. He glared fiercely at Xiao Wu, his eyes bloodshot, spitting as he spoke. HMPH. He clearly started it himself. He was just a level 29 good-for-nothing uncle, and Xiao Wu wasn't afraid of him. Master, don't worry, he should only have broken a few bones. Taking him to healing-type Soul Master as soon as possible should be fine. Yichu tugged at Xiao Wu's sleeve, telling her to stop talking, and told Yu Xiaogang to take Tang San away. Hearing Yichu's words, Yu Xiaogang finally recovered somewhat. He placed his hand on Tang San's neck to check before relaxing. A gust of wind blew in from outside, causing him to shiver. His back was already soaked with sweat. HMPH. It had better be this way, otherwise none of you will escape. He uttered these harsh words and, without saying another word, carried Tang San away. Yichu gazed at the night outside. Beside the fleeing Yu Xiaogang, there seemed to be a dark figure, indistinct and hard to see clearly. Xiao Chu, how about we leave Nodding Academy? Yichu, still staring blankly outside, heard Xiao Wu's voice beside him. Leave? Where to? Can we even leave? Without saying much, he pulled her into his arms. Don't worry, get some rest. You'll be fine in a few days. Xiao Wu replied softly. She didn't know what Yichu was thinking. All she could do was trust him. Late at night, the lights in dormitory 7 were off, and everyone else was already asleep, but Yichu couldn't fall asleep. This incident will definitely be seen as an obstacle by Tang Hao, and my days with Xiao Wu are numbered. Xiao Wu, still lost in thought, Yichu suddenly noticed that Xiao Wu had gotten up from the bed next to him. She tiptoed to Yichu's bedside and lay down without any hesitation. Xiao Wu leaned forward, wrapped her arms around his neck, snuggled into his embrace, and nuzzled her head. Xiao Chu, it's been so long since we've lain together like this. Hug me, okay? Her sweet voice was soothing. His stiff body and troubled heart were greatly relieved. Holding the soft girl in his arms, their eyes met. Perhaps he should go to the soul hunting forest. Without soul skills, his safety was not guaranteed at all. Today, Xiao Wu had to intervene. He had already made up his mind that even if something happened to him, he absolutely could not let anything happen to Xiao Wu. Sacrifice? Forget about it. Yichu had no interest in any deceased wife's spirit ring. While he was still pondering tomorrow's plans, he felt a soft, familiar touch on his lips. After a few breaths, Xiao Wu's voice rang out again. Xiao Chu, get some rest. Xiao Wu will always be with you. Chapter 18, Tang Hao's Fate. As dawn broke and the sun rose in the east, Yichu's long-established biological clock woke him up early. Looking at Xiao Wu still nestled in his arms, her lips slightly moist, her face still chubby from her age, he pinched her little cheek. Carefully leaving the covers, he went outside as usual, finding a secluded corner, climbing a tree branch, and watching the purple aura emanating from the east. Phew, another session of his purple demon eye training was over, time to prepare. Returning to dormitory 7, he wrote down his destination and placed it beside Xiao Wu's pillow. 4 simple words: Hunter Soul. Do not worry, the Hunter Soul Forest wasn't open to just anyone, it was filled with captive soul beasts. An entry required a token, a warrant from the Spirit Hall, which could be obtained by spending gold soul coins at the Spirit Hall's Nodding branch. Upon arriving at the Spirit Hall branch, Yichu was immediately stopped. The Spirit Hall is a sacred place, not just anyone can enter. Show me your Soul Master certificate. I've just reached level 10 and want to buy a token for the Soul Hunting Forest. Could you please show me the way, sir? Yichu didn't want any trouble, so he showed his Nodding Academy enrollment certificate and activated his soul power. Soul hunting? Just a little kid like you, the guard frowned. I advise you to hire some people. Thank you for the reminder, sir. I will, follow me. The guard didn't say much more. He'd seen many common children like this, countless who had perished in the soul hunting forest. It's hard to reason with a damned person, he could only offer advice. The Spirit Hall's efficiency was quite good. Yichu quickly completed the necessary procedures. Though it was expensive, it used up most of his savings. After putting away the token, he spent some time on the street, heading to his workplace to retrieve the gunpowder he had prepared. In the distance, unnoticed by Yichu, a pair of weathered eyes were watching his every move. As he passed through a small alley, the number of pedestrians dwindled. Whoosh! A black figure landed, standing before Yichu. What? Yichu's voice trailed off as he froze. A powerful pressure, an immense pressure, made even his movements difficult. Eyes beneath black stockings stared intently at the figure before him, a black bamboo hat, a burly physique, a face covered in stubble, obscuring his features. But Yichu recognized him, Tang San's deceased father, Haoshan Douluo, Tang Hao. Cold sweat trickled down his forehead, a sense of panic rising within him. Damn it, is he about to attack? A hoarse voice echoed in his ears. Tang Hao's lips barely moved, yet his voice reverberated throughout Yichu's mind. A chilling, almost tangible sound. Outside the city, in the eastern forest, standing silently, he glanced at Yichu one last time before disappearing. Thump. Huff, huff, Yichu collapsed to the ground, gasping for breath. In front of Tang Hao, he had even forgotten to breathe, drenched in sweat as if drowning, sweat dripping from his chin onto the ground. How, the clear sky sect really is protective of its own. I'm even going to personally eliminate my son's rival, he bitterly muttered, shakily getting to his feet. After a moment's hesitation, he prepared to head to the eastern forest for their appointment. Since Tang Hao hadn't directly attacked him, the possibility of danger was much smaller. Before a titled Douluo, he was nothing more than an ant. Even if he wanted to escape, he was powerless. He also wanted to see whether Tang Hao's actions were for his daughter-in-law or for the 100,000-year soul ring. Nodding City wasn't huge, but it wasn't small either. After leaving the city gates, it took Yichu half an hour to reach Tang Hao's location. Tang Hao had been waiting for a long time, standing there straight, his black hat fluttering in the wind, indeed quite dashing. I wonder what business you have with me, senior, Yichu asked respectfully. Tang Hao didn't even turn his head, seemingly too lazy to look at Yichu, and directly commanded, his voice devoid of any emotion, "Boy, leave that girl. She's not worthy of you." Yichu also began to play dumb. Is the girl you're talking about Xiao Wu? Are you Xiao Wu's family? To prevent Tang Hao from having any intention of killing him to cover it up, Yichu tried his best not to link Tang Hao with Tang San in his words. You don't need to know. Tang Hao turned around, his voice becoming much colder. Leave here. Never appear in front of that girl again. Why? Yichu frowned. Whether it was an act or not, he was also somewhat curious about the reason Tang Hao was going to give. You're nothing but a coward, Tang Hao replied indifferently. A piece of trash who's been at level 10 for months, yet still too afraid to hunt soul rings. Yichu hadn't expected his conversation with Xiao Wu to be overheard. When Xiao Wu learned that Yichu's soul power had reached level 10, she had repeatedly offered to help him hunt for soul rings, but he had refused with various excuses. Unexpectedly, Tang Hao had seen this and concluded he was a coward. Is that all? Senior, I think I can too. Of course, it wasn't just because of that, but Tang Hao had no obligation to explain. Enough. I've already said, you're not worthy of her. Tang Hao's oppressive aura once again enveloped Yichu. Yichu endured the pressure, standing there straight, a cold smile playing on his lips. How? Which one are you referring to, her or it? The rough-looking man under the straw hat frowned, his oppressive aura slowly intensifying. Seeing Yichu still struggling in despair, a wicked thought arose in his mind. He changed his mind. How? This will be the price for hurting my son's mistress, Tang Hao sneered, his tone as casual as crushing an ant. What? Hearing Tang Hao reveal his father-son relationship, Yichu was shocked. Tang Hao was going to kill him to silence him. In Yichu's vision, a faint bloody light seemed to appear under Tang Hao's hat, and a terrifying killing intent surged towards him. Not good. This is a mental attack. And, the killing god domain, he thought Tang Hao wouldn't kill him, but he didn't expect him to be so vicious. A powerful mental attack can cause death, or at least turn someone into a paratrooper, a walking corpse. In Yichu's consciousness, blood rained down, mountains of corpses and seas of blood surged, and the giant waves crashed towards him. His Sharingan under his black stockings was already operating at its limit, frantically resisting, bloody tears streaming down his face. Unfortunately, the gap was too great, and before long, Yichu's mind went blank. In his final moments, he seemed to see Xiao Wu, following her predetermined fate, sacrificing herself for Tang San, and a surge of overwhelming hatred welled up within him. His body stiffened, and he collapsed to the ground. His breath barely a whisper. Tang Hao stepped forward and kicked Yichu's head, but there was no reaction. A mere ant, unable to withstand even a single glance from him. The Haoshan Douluo himself had intervened, There was no need for further examination. This was the pride of the strong. In the end, Tang Hao left, satisfied. Chapter 19 3 Tomo. Xiao Wu, far away at Notting Academy, hadn't gone to class because of what happened last night. She stayed in dormitory 7, sprawled on Yichu's bed, playing with a bamboo dragonfly. She held the little note Yichu had left her in one hand, constantly complaining. Xiao Chu is really something, going to hunt souls without calling me. What if something dangerous happened? The bamboo dragonfly slowly spun in her hand. Crack, a sudden, crisp sound rang out, the pole Yichu had repaired broke again. Xiao Chu's Xiao Wu seemed to sense something, quickly standing up in a panic, clutching her chest, tears streaming down her face. In Yu Xiaogang's residence, Tang San could now get out of bed and walk, but he had no heart for cultivation. Sitting in the spot where Grandmaster usually read, he stared blankly out the window at the scenery in the direction of dormitory 7. Crack, Yu Xiaogang walked in from outside. He had already seen Tang Hao. Xiao-san, are you still thinking about what happened that night? Tang San seemed not to hear him, still in a daze. Sigh, Yu Xiaogang sighed, put down the medicine in his hand, and patted Tang San's shoulder. Don't worry, that girl will fall in love with you sooner or later. I heard that guy named Yichu has already left Notting Academy. What? Tang San's eyes widened when he heard this. Teacher. Are you telling the truth? Of course it's true. Maybe he's scared. Yu Xiaogang knew very well that this was definitely true. This time, His Majesty Haoshin personally took action. Dealing with a child was a piece of cake. With him there would be no surprises. But it wasn't that he was scared, but that he died and left this world forever. But lying. Yu Xiaogang, was a professional. He had even deceived the Holy Maiden and his cousin back then. What about Xiao Wu? Tang San excitedly grabbed Yu Xiaogang's arm, eager to know where Xiao Wu was. She's still at the academy, great. I'm going to find Xiao Wu. Tang San stood up, about to rush out the door, but was stopped by Yu Xiaogang. Alright, you should focus on healing your injuries first. Otherwise, you might develop a chronic condition that could affect your future cultivation. She can't leave. Looking at Tang San, Yu Xiaogang felt as if he were seeing his former self, equally devoted, yet having everything destroyed by others. His fists clenched, he vowed to make Bibi Dong and that shameless woman regret their actions. Tang San was his hope. Under his reassurance, Tang San had no choice but to obediently focus on healing his body. The sunset painted the sky, a gentle evening breeze blew, trees swayed in the wind, and leaves rustled. In an open space lay the corpse of a young man in black, his face deathly pale, streaks of blood on his cheeks, and dry blood staining the black ribbon covering his eyes. Seemingly moved by the breeze, the young man's fingers trembled slightly. A gust of wind blew past, blowing away the blood-stained black eyeliner around the boy's eyes, revealing a pair of blood-red eyes with 3 tomo rotating within them. His pale face and bloodshot eyes made him look like a demon. Lying on the ground, expressionless, Yichu slowly grinned, his cracked lips bleeding from being exposed to the sun all day. But Yichu felt no pain, laughing wildly. Ha ha, a light laugh, a cold laugh, then a loud laugh. He laughed at his own survival, at Tang Hao's arrogance, at the Tang family father and son's self-destructive path. Tang Hao. You wait. I will take your dog's life, he shouted towards the sky, venting his anger. After this outburst, Yichu, exhausted, stumbled away. Yichu hadn't expected that not only had he survived Tang Hao's attack, but he had also managed to evolve his Sharingan again at the last moment, transforming it into its 3 tomo state. As if by some stroke of luck, Yichu decided to proceed according to his original plan and quietly headed towards Notting City. Xiao Wu. Wait for me. Night fell, and the crescent moon peeked through the clouds. Yichu, draped in a black robe, arrived at his small workshop. Knock knock. After a couple of simple knocks, a sound came from inside. Who is it? We're closed, Grandpa Jerry. It's me, Yichu. I've come to get something. The footsteps inside grew louder, and with a click, the door opened, revealing an aged face before Yichu. Xiao Chu? You child, why haven't you returned to the academy so late? Come in quickly. Thank you for your trouble, Grandpa Jerry. I'd like to stay here for the night. Yichu apologized. It's alright. Your skills are excellent. Since you came here, my business has improved considerably. This is just a small matter, how could I refuse? Grandpa Jerry yawned, told Yichu to make do in his own private workshop for the night, and then left. Yichu trusted his character and wasn't worried about his dishonesty. He entered his workroom, which contained a table and a small bed, more than enough for a night's rest. He lit a candle, keeping it far from the table. He didn't want to blow himself up while taking out gunpowder from the drawer. Having died once, he was even more wary of his life. He quickly prepared his things, placed them by the bedside, extinguished the candle, and promptly laid down. Before falling asleep, he pondered how to get revenge on that bastard Tang Hao. He couldn't beat him in a fight, but Yichu could seek revenge in other ways. Since both father and son were trying to take Xiao Wu away, then suddenly, Tang San's blue-silver grass martial soul flashed through Yichu's mind. That's right, blue-silver emperor. Tang Hao, don't blame me. You brought this on yourself. After the blue-silver emperor's sacrifice, a seed remained, which Tang Hao planted near Holy Soul Village. Yichu believed that once he found the location of Holy Soul Village, with his Sharingan's X-ray vision and perception abilities, finding the cave would be quite easy. Tang Hao wanted to separate him and Xiao Wu, not only killing him but also coveting Xiao Wu's spirit rings, so he had no choice but to retaliate in kind. He would uproot Tang Hao's wife, Tang San's mother, and take her away. Thinking of this, Yichu's mood improved, his mind relaxed, and he quickly fell asleep. Meanwhile, in Dormitory 7 of Notting Academy, while Yichu was asleep, Xiao Wu was still there, wrapped in Yichu's blanket, unable to fall asleep for a long time. Xiao Chu, you must come back safely. Tang San was also suffering from insomnia. To make it easier to take care of him, he lay next to Yu Gang, his eyes fixed on the ceiling, filled with longing, immersed in his own fantasies. Xiao Wu, Yichu is indeed just a coward, a piece of trash. Tang San, I will definitely bring you happiness. The moon in the sky only showed its lower part, like a grinning mouth, mocking Tang San's wishful thinking. Chapter 20 Soul Hunting Forest. Yichu felt uncomfortable all over as he climbed out of the wooden bed, stretching and letting out a sigh of relief. He neatly picked up the package he had prepared the night before. Although Tang Hao, that sixth brother, had ruined yesterday's plans, it didn't matter, he would continue today. Hey? Yichu, why are you in such a hurry? Seeing Yichu about to leave with his package, Grandma Tom, Jerry's wife, who was making breakfast, called out to him. I have some urgent business. By the way, did I disturb you last night? Yichu is quite concerned about this elderly woman who wasn't in good health, especially since he had eaten quite a few of her snacks while she was working. It's nothing, it's alright. Old people sleep very soundly, that's good. After a brief exchange, Yichu was also thinking about Xiao Wu at Notting Academy. He asked the elderly couple for paper and pen and wrote a letter. He also instructed Jerry that if he hadn't returned in 3 days, he should deliver the letter to a student named Xiao Wu at Notting Academy. Xiao Wu, is that the brat who always comes here to wait for you and disturb your work? Faced with Grandma Tom's assessment of Xiao Wu, Yichu didn't want to argue too much, and awkwardly scratched his head. Seeing Yichu's expression, Grandma Tom couldn't help but let out a somewhat aged laugh, looking at him kindly. Don't worry, my old man will take care of it for you, is that so? Then her eyes darted around, sharply looking at Grandpa Jerry, who was squatting on the ground beside her, tending the fire. Yes, I'll definitely deliver it. Grandpa Jerry nodded somewhat hurriedly. Seeing the amusing interaction between the elderly couple, Yichu felt exceptionally warm. Perhaps this was what growing old together looked like. Then thank you very much, Grandma Tom. Yichu leaned forward slightly, bowing to the two elders in gratitude, and also presented the letter in his hand. Grandma Tom nodded, such a sensible child was rare. Taking the letter, she gave Grandpa Jerry a look. Go with peace of mind, Yichu said, looking at the pancake the old man offered him. He didn't refuse it, his stomach was indeed starting to rumble. As he reached the door, Grandma Tom's voice rang out, it's clear that the lively little girl likes you very much. Turning back to look at them, Grandma Tom simply smiled, glancing at her husband still squatting on the ground. The two gazed at each other silently. Yichu's lips slowly curled up. Without disturbing the two elders, he slowly pushed open the door, donned a black robe, and walked into the rushing crowd. Xiao Wu likes him? Yes. He knew, he always knew. It was him who had the chance to take her out of the mire from the beginning, but for his own selfish reasons, he still brought Xiao Wu to Notting City. Speaking of which, when did I fall in love? Was it that night? Maybe, but it doesn't matter anymore. Xiao Wu is still waiting for me, and I have to work harder. Yichu's steps were quick and firm. Since it was his fault, then he would save Xiao Wu. The soul-hunting forest near Nodding City was where the Heaven Dao Empire kept soul beasts. Although most of them were low-level soul beasts, this instance was just right for Yichu now. Around the forest, there were the Empire's army and the Spirit Hall's army, jointly managed by the Empire and the Spirit Hall. Although Yichu was dressed in a black robe, his height and voice still revealed him to be a young boy. However, no one bothered him. During soul hunting, the humans in the forest were perhaps more dangerous than the soul beasts. All around were shouts of vendors. Look! Look! A 10-year-old soul beast, a herbivorous snake, only 10 gold soul coins. Brother, want to team up for soul hunting? Our coyote mercenary group is definitely the most professional in this area. Starting at 50 gold soul coins, go inside and choose from all kinds of 10-year and 100-year soul beasts, selling soul beast meat. This is a 300-year-old soul beast, the copper gong pig, that the earth leopard mercenary group just hunted down. Only 1 gold soul coin per pound. Don't miss out. Where there are people, there is noise. Ignoring the various sales pitches around him, Yichu walked straight towards the entrance. As for hiring someone to help him hunt soul beasts, that was really inappropriate. What he needed to do couldn't be seen by others, and besides, he had no money. After exchanging the warrant with the gatekeeper, remember, no killing of soul beasts is allowed. If discovered, you will be executed without mercy. Faced with a warning, Yichu nodded calmly, tied the package in his hand to his back with a rope, and quickly ran inside. The deeper he went, the more lush the trees became. It felt as if many eyes were watching him, and this faint sense of danger gave Yichu a strange sense of enjoyment. It was thrilling. He was already looking forward to the largest star Dao forest on the Douluo continent. The soul beasts on the outer perimeter of the soul beast forest were all low level, some even less than 10 years of cultivation. Whoosh! Yichu leaped onto a tree trunk, reached down and removed the blindfold covering his eyes. Beneath the black hood, a blood-red light shone, crimson with a hint of purple. Sharingan. Activate. Whoosh! Through the jungle, countless images flashed through Yichu's mind. Just as he was intently observing the distance, searching for his target, a slender snake slid down from a branch above his head. It was a 10-year-old green-lined snake. Its venom had anesthetic and hallucinogenic effects, not fatal, merely a painless bite to the prey. Its tongue flicked, and it slowly lowered its head above Yichu's shoulder. At that moment, a smile appeared on Yichu's lips. Hit his target. Hiss! The green-lined snake opened its mouth wide, revealing its fangs, about to bite Yichu's neck. Speaking of which, the 3-tomo Sharingan is really useful. Yichu, still speaking, suddenly turned around. A faint red light flashed in the green-lined snake's eyes, and it stopped abruptly, its charge towards Yichu's head. Yichu extended his palm, and the little snake, as if gaining sentience, reached into his palm and slowly coiled there. Illusion. It really worked. After controlling the snake to bite its own tail, the little snake went limp. Still trying to bite me? Whether you survive this time depends on your luck. With that, Yichu hung it on a treetop and quickly headed towards the location he had just seen. There was a small canyon inhabited by a group of ferocious apes. Ferocious apes are social soul beasts, mostly around 100 years old. They are naturally irritable and have a strong sense of territory. They will swarm any intruder. In battle, they can enter a berserk state, increasing all their attributes by 50%. Their weakness is that they cannot distinguish friend from foe. Since entering the academy, Yichu had barely fought, possessing martial arts skills but unable to use them effectively. This group of ferocious apes was his chosen whetstone and appetizer. Chapter 21 Trial. The Sharingan, with its X-ray vision, was like a fish in water in this jungle, offering a huge advantage in avoiding danger and detecting spirit beasts. Stepping on the ghostly shadow steps, amidst a multitude of illusions, his speed increased dramatically, maintaining a considerable pace even in this complex terrain. According to Yichu's estimation, there were about 20 or so violent apes in the canyon. The leader, the Ape King, was about 2.5 meters tall, with a cultivation level of approximately 400 to 500 years. The rest were spirit beasts of 200 to 300 years old, along with some immature ones and cubs. For these spirit beasts living together, the explosive packs on their backs meant that even if they were outmatched, escaping unscathed wouldn't be a problem. Standing above the canyon, his black robe billowing, Yichu took a deep breath and, without hesitation, leaped down. A gust of wind swept through, lifting the hood of his black robe, revealing Yichu's face, a mixture of tension, excitement, and coldness. The boulders that had fallen from the canyon walls due to Yichu's footsteps alerted the apes. Immediately, some apes spotted Yichu still falling. A hint of human-like expression appeared on their rough, black faces, and they cried out, a sound that was both a sob and a wail. They charged towards the direction Yichu had fallen, kicking up clouds of dust. Using the bushes growing on the cliff face, Yichu landed safely, his legs slightly bent to cushion the impact, his hands pressing down in the air. Whoosh, two sharp daggers appeared in his hands. Yichu's vision went black as a shadow fell over him. A 2-meter-tall ape, just reaching the standard of a 100-year-old soul beast, stood beside him. Its large, fan-like hand slammed down on him. Yichu's pupils only dilated slightly before the ape froze, rolled away, and casually slashed its leg joint with a dagger in his hand. Swoosh, a flurry of actions, yet the damage was less than 5. They really are tough as nails, Yichu sighed, looking at the faint blood stain. The physical attributes of soul beasts were indeed unmatched. Ignoring the berserker ape he had left behind, Yichu focused on his objective and charged into the oncoming horde of apes. Under the observation of his Sharingan, their movements slowed down, revealing numerous openings. Constantly dodging their swinging slaps, Yichu wasn't foolish enough to engage them head-on. He used his ghostly shadow steps to move and evade, approaching the Ape King who was still on the other side of the canyon. Gradually, he entered the center, and before he knew it, Yichu was surrounded. A gust of wind pressed down on his back as a 300-year-old berserker ape unleashed a cannon punch aimed directly at Yichu's back. Yichu leaped back, dodging the attack, and pulled out a sleeve dart he had cobbled together in midair. Whoosh! Thud! A short arrow pierced its eye, causing its eyeball to burst. Roar! A mournful howl filled the air, blood gushing forth as it pounded its chest, its black fur standing on end, clearly entering a berserk state where it couldn't distinguish friend from foe. Several weaker companions were swept away, and the previously united ape troop suddenly descended into chaos. Roar! The Ape King's roar echoed throughout the canyon. It took command, and the wounded berserk ape collapsed to the ground after only a few moments of leaping. A yellow spirit ring slowly appeared, its death further fueling the ape's ferocity. Bang bang bang. Several berserk apes leaped around Yichu, surrounding him and attacking him simultaneously. Its eyes glowing red, it fixed its gaze on the berserk apes before it, dragging them into an illusion, shifting its attack target from Yichu to the berserk apes behind him. Yichu leaped high, using its shoulder to step out of the encirclement. Yichu's eyes narrowed, the Ape King, which had been in his sight just moments before, had vanished. Just then, Yichu's feet left the shoulders of the berserk ape, hovering in the air. On the ground, Yichu's shadow was suddenly covered by a dark shadow. Yichu turned around, and in the air, was the Ape King charging towards him. Sharingan Jinjutsu. Zhuan Yu hand. Bang! Turning around and throwing a punch, the two collided. Yichu punched the Ape King on the forehead, sending him flying backward. Bang! The Ape King crashed heavily to the ground, its head buzzing. Yichu also slammed to the ground, rolling several times before stopping, clutching his shoulder. That was close. Xiao, if he hadn't used his Sharingan to deflect the attack, he probably wouldn't have been able to get up. Even so, he had been grazed on the shoulder. Roar! It roared, and the other berserk apes, seeing this, were terrified and hurriedly fled into the distance. Their king had entered a berserk state. Its eyes were bloodshot, filled with violence, and it charged rapidly towards Yichu from the ground. Ghost Shadow perplexing steps. For an unconscious opponent, the kite-flying tactic is quite feasible. During the battle, Yichu discovered that the use of the Sharingan consumed very little soul power, but his mental strength was somewhat exhausted. It's time to finish this quickly. The Ape King's berserk state gradually dissipated over time, and its speed had decreased. The brief increase in strength would leave it in a relatively fatigued state. Yichu transformed into the sixth man, his feet moving swiftly to circle behind it, his eyes flashed with Tomo, while the berserk ape stood dumbfounded to the side. He found the vital point behind it, and his dagger flew. The ultimate taijutsu technique struck the bullseye. At once blood gushed out behind it, and the Ape King let out a miserable howl. One hand kept pounding its chest, while the other covered its back. It lay prostrate on the ground, its fangs trembling, staring intently at Yichu. Although this 1,000 years of death technique is somewhat unethical, the effect is surprisingly good. Cough cough, Yichu muttered to himself. Roar the Ape King, its eyes blazing with fury, was about to attack him again, each movement causing its wounds to throb with pain. Sharingan. Jinjutsu, thud. Its fists slammed down on Yichu, kicking up a cloud of dust that obscured the battlefield. The surrounding apes watched from the sidelines. As the smoke cleared, Yichu was captured in its grasp and lifted high. Whoa! Roar! They roared with excitement, running around their king and cheering wildly. Yichu looked at the creatures that had surrounded him. Their stench was truly unpleasant. With a thud, the ape king that had been holding him let out a soft cry, dispersing them. Upon closer inspection, he saw 3 tomo in its eyes, indicating that it was under Yichu's control. It seems controlling a 500-year-old soul beast is quite easy. This way, I can find some soul beasts to use as tools to help me with my later soul hunting. Perched on the ape king's shoulders and sitting on its head, Yichu stroked his eyes, quite satisfied with the abilities of his martial soul. Driving the ape king out of the canyon, Yichu departed. He had pre-programmed the system so the ape would regain consciousness within 15 minutes. He didn't retrieve the dagger embedded in its body, keeping it as a memento, mainly because it bothered him. After leaving the valley, Yichu began searching for his next target. These spirit beasts were still too young. His goal was a 1,000-year-old spirit beast. Facing Tang San and Tang Hao, who possessed twin martial souls, he had to push everything to its absolute limit to ensure his absolute advantage. If you are listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means it was downloaded and re-uploaded without effort. We warmly invite you to visit our channel, Fanfic World. There you will find the original version of this story and many other novels of various genres. We look forward to seeing you dive into a world of incredible novels. Chapter 22 Learning from Experience. The distant cries of monkeys continued unabated, as Yichu had already traversed several layers of forest. After running a distance, the Monkey King's miserable screams echoed again from afar. Perhaps its injuries were truly too severe. In the following period, after a short rest, Yichu used the advantages of his Sharingan to relentlessly provoke various spirit beasts. Wherever Yichu went, any spirit beast he encountered was inevitably brutally defeated, almost uprooting earthworms from the ground. Along the way, there was a giant python that twisted and turned, but after a few rounds of fighting, Yichu controlled it and tied itself into a knot. There was a ferocious tiger, but under the hypnosis of his Sharingan, it transformed into a kitten inseparable from its owner, offering a wonderfully cuddly experience. While others petted cats, Yichu petted tigers. For a moment, it was impossible to tell which was the real tiger. There was also a strong and robust black bear, using honey to lure its prey, its bare paws delicious, chasing after him with a hidden dart. I am Yichu, remember that? Even more disgusting were the ravenous and repulsive gale wolves, the culprits behind the wolf bandits. For these vile beasts, Yichu aimed for their hind legs and unleashed a barrage of attacks, wielding a massive hammer in their crotches to inflict heavy damage. Castrate them first, then kill them, as a sign of his disgust. Unbeknownst to him, 2 days had already passed since he arrived at the soul hunting grounds. Through the various battles of these 2 days, Yichu was fairly certain that with his eye power, he could control soul beasts up to 900 years old. Controlling soul beasts over 1,000 years old was a real challenge, extremely unstable. While controlling a 1,000-year-old anaconda, he almost lost control and had half its head bitten off. Thankfully he reacted quickly. However, Yichu also discovered that soul beasts became easier to control after being injured, especially when they were dying. It was incredibly easy. He already had a perfect plan in mind, to obtain the first purple soul ring without lifting a finger. Standing on a treetop, Yichu looked towards the direction of the violent ape canyon where he had been stabbed earlier, nodding slightly. That's a good burial place. However, I should also go find some help. Inside Nodding City, Xiao Wu's eyes were red and swollen. She couldn't find Xiao Chu, where did you go? Xiao Wu held a black ribbon stained with blood in her hand. She had found it on a tree branch outside the city. She wouldn't mistake it, it belonged to Xiao Chu. Something must have happened to Xiao Chu. Clutching the ribbon tightly, she glanced back at Tang San, who was secretly watching her from a street corner, her eyes icy cold. If anything happens to Xiao Chu, Tang San will definitely die. She made up her mind. Her intuition told her that the bloodstains on it were definitely related to Tang San. Yichu had only been gone a few days, And this bastard dared to jump around in front of her, not only speaking ill of Xiao Chu, but also offering to give her some kind of huge, repeating crossbow. What a coincidence. She folded the ribbon neatly, tucked it into the small pouch at her waist, and headed towards the carving workshop where Yichu worked. There was an elderly couple there, perhaps they knew something about Yichu. She quickly ran into a nearby alley, using the terrain to shake off the little rascal following her. If Yichu hadn't warned her before leaving not to hurt Tang San again, she wouldn't have just shaken him off, she would have at least given him a good beating. Tang San stood at the alley entrance, looking around. Where's Xiao Wu? Is she still unable to accept reality? Is Yichu really that good? It's alright, I'll always wait for you. Who was Tang San? Without Yichu, he was the closest man to Xiao Wu. He had all sorts of strange and wonderful things. Xiao Wu, with her boundless curiosity, would surely be attracted to him. While Xiao Wu was rushing to the carving workshop, a strange scene unfolded in the Soul Hunter forest. An 8 or 9-year-old boy was riding on the back of a 600-year-old soul beast. It was a tiger soul beast, and Yichu had gone to its lair and ridden it out. He was controlling it, carrying him towards the violent ape canyon. Without a saddle, Yichu felt his buttocks were about to split in two, but thankfully the distance wasn't too far. A yellow whirlwind swept through the canyon entrance, and the man and tiger appeared. Such a commotion immediately alerted the violent apes inside. The ape king's eyes widened at the sight of this human, the one who had deeply wounded it. Roar! The king's roar enraged the violent apes, who charged towards Yichu with their hands and feet. Little tiger! Show them what's what. Patting Little Yellow's back, it quickly sprang into action. With a pair of tiger claws pointing and striking, Yichu charged forward, scattering the berserk apes and revealing the ape king at the back of the formation. He. Still haven't learned your lesson? I'll teach you a lesson again today. Looking at the ape king, who was already poised to attack, Yichu thought its courage was commendable. The last impression hadn't been deep enough. Little tiger, get him, roar! Yichu jumped down, rolled a few times on the ground to dissipate the force, stood up again, and both man and tiger charged forward. The berserk ape king was actually locked in a stalemate with a 600-year-old little tiger. However, Yichu was the key to their victory. Without the ape king looking at him, he couldn't do much. Taking advantage of the situation, he slanted, landing under the ape king and kicking at the bag. Yichu's act of aiding and abetting the tiger was truly despicable. Lacking strength, he made up for it with trickery. With one kick, the ape king immediately exited its berserk state, clutching the bag, and collapsed to the ground. Controlling Little Tiger to block the other violent apes, Yichu approached the ape king. Tisk, this makes controlling it with illusion magic much easier, otherwise I'd have to jump up. His eyes flashed with bloodlust, and the Wudang ape king, which had been rolling around, numbly rose and stood behind Yichu. He controlled it to lead its clan out of the canyon. This place was now his. Next, the plan began. He spent some time dividing the explosive pack he'd been carrying into several portions and placing them in various locations throughout the canyon. Clap. He clapped his hands, summoned Little Tiger who was eating, and mounted it. Time to go fish that anaconda. In the dense forest, a tiger was running frantically, the bushes behind it rustling constantly. An anaconda over 10 meters long rushed out, filling the air with a faint, fishy stench. That cunning human in front of it had provoked it several times. It couldn't tolerate this anymore. It had never seen anything so arrogant in its life. The all-black python flicked its tongue, its body twisting constantly. It could adapt to any terrain, maintaining a steady pace. Yichu kept patting the back of the little tiger beneath him. Giddy up! Hurry up! Hurry up! Roar! The little tiger responded in a low voice. It had never been so humiliated in its life. Not only was it not fed, but it also had to be treated like a slave. It wanted the tiger to run, but it wasn't even fed enough. To survive, it had no choice but to follow Yichu to the bitter end. Besides, it had no control over its own movements. Snap! Sparks flew from the python's forehead. Whenever it was about to give up the chase, Yichu would take out a hidden dart and shoot it twice on its blackened forehead. The damage wasn't great, but the humiliation was immense. The python opened its blood-red maw, blowing out a stench, determined to tear the human who provoked it to pieces and devour him alive. Fortunately, Yichu is constantly observing the road conditions with his Sharingan, trying to avoid areas with people. Chapter 23 Sacrifice. They traveled along the way, stopping and starting, leaving behind several messy spots. Finally, They reached a crossroads, where man and tiger were about to part. Before the canyon, they split into two paths, Yichu climbing the wall and the tiger entering. Reaching the canyon entrance, Yichu dismounted and, using the small trees and bushes on the canyon walls, climbed upwards. The tiger, acting as bait, continued deeper into the canyon, luring the anaconda into its trap. The plan was simple, but effective. Standing on high ground, Yichu looked down at the anaconda, now fully inside the canyon, a look of delight on his face. He immediately lit the tinderbox beside him. Boom! A loud crash startled the pursuing anaconda, causing it to stop and turn back, its path barred by falling rocks from both sides. Its instincts told it something was wrong. It immediately tried to escape through the other side of the canyon. Unfortunately, it was fast, Yichu was even faster, and the tinder burned even faster. Boom! Another deafening explosion followed, and the other side was also destroyed. The anaconda froze, a towering pile of rubble separating it from the tiger cub. Now, the anaconda was trapped. Looks like the plan is going smoothly. Now all that's needed is the final blow. Just don't let it die. Yichu held a tinderbox in his hand. His goal wasn't to kill it, but to bring it to a near-death state. Noticing that the anaconda was trying to climb over the rubble, he didn't hesitate. He immediately lit all the fuses of the explosives buried underground. As the anaconda sensed death, its movements becoming chaotic. Boom! A deafening explosion, even with the rock walls on either side acting as a barrier, still carried far, startling a flock of birds and causing the surrounding spirit beasts to scatter in all directions. Even the tiger cub trembled. If it hadn't been controlled by Yichu's illusion magic, it would have run away long ago. Yichu's ears were ringing, but he dared not delay, fearing the 1,000-year-old anaconda was dead. He only needed a few breaths left. He didn't want his efforts to be in vain, especially since he'd already used up all his explosives. Reaching the bottom of the canyon, the anaconda was buried in the rubble, nowhere to be seen. A flash of purple appeared in Yichu's red eyes, finally revealing its exact location. He called to Huzi, and together they dug it out. Damn it, Yichu, still searching, was suddenly startled. A bloodied snake had appeared before him. One eye had been pierced by blasted debris, and its scales were scattered and broken, a truly pitiful sight. Thankfully, it was still alive. The anaconda glared fiercely at Yichu with its remaining eye, trying to raise its mouth, but it was too late. Its blood-stained tongue flicked out for the last time. Yichu also felt pity, but this was the way of the world, the rules were such. Soul beasts, after thousands of years of arduous cultivation, could be surpassed by humans in a few years. This was the tragedy of soul beasts. Next, let's hope it works. The Sharingan and the anaconda locked eyes. Yichu was going to control it to sacrifice itself. The dying anaconda was already mentally scattered, making it easy to control. Its single eye took on Yichu's shape. After giving the sacrifice command, the anaconda's body remained motionless. Just as Yichu's expression showed disappointment, a faint purple light suddenly emanated from its body, then spread to Yichu. Haha! Great! It really works! A purple first soul ring, he shouted excitedly, then suppressed his joy. After instructing Tiger beside him to guard it, he sat cross-legged directly on the anaconda's head. Circling the mysterious heaven technique, Yichu rapidly absorbed the energy transferred from the sacrificial python, purple light continuously permeating his body. Tiger glanced around, wary of any other humans or soul beasts appearing. A burly figure slowly climbed upwards up the canyon, his large, bill-like eyes filled with ferocity, hatred, and a hint of fear. Nodding City, the carving workshop. Xiao Wu had arrived and barged in recklessly. Bang! The shop door slammed shut, and Grandpa Jerry, who was carving, almost dropped his carving knife. I say, you wild girl, why are you always so rude? Before Grandpa Jerry could speak, Grandma Tom, who had been sitting beside him fanning him, scolded Xiao Wu. This time, Xiao Wu didn't argue with the old woman, but just cried, have you seen Xiao Chu? I can't find him. Her eyes were red and swollen, her voice trembling with tears. Grandma Tom was taken aback upon hearing this. Having experienced much, she roughly knew what was going on, that Yichu hadn't told the little girl what he was up to. He said he was going to hunt souls a few days ago, but he hasn't come back yet, Xiao Wu said, wiping away tears. Sigh, Grandma Tom sighed. Being a soul master wasn't easy. My husband and I did see him a couple of days ago, He even slept here one night, Grandpa Jerry told Xiao Wu truthfully, without hiding anything. Really? Where is he now? Please tell me. Faced with her hopeful gaze, Grandpa Jerry shook his head and turned to his wife. He left a letter, saying that if he didn't return within 3 days, he would give it to you, Grandma Tom said. Where's the letter? Let me see it. Xiao Wu reached out and tugged at her sleeve. Grandma Tom simply shook her head. Now, I can't show you the letter. Some things are best left for him to tell you in person when he returns. You must believe him. After her pleas went unanswered, Xiao Wu left alone, praying that Yichu would return to her side the next day. Grandma Tom was right, she didn't need that kind of letter. She wanted Yichu to come back and tell her himself, and she wanted to hold him then. Thinking this, tears streamed down her face. Far away in the Soul Hunter forest, the anaconda's sacrifice was nearing its end. Its corpse had lost its luster, and the purple light around Yichu was gradually fading. A purple soul ring condensed and slowly rose beneath Yichu. His soul power was also slowly increasing, level 11, 12, 13, 14, until it finally stopped at level 17. The accumulation of his soul power and the anaconda's sacrifice had allowed him to leap 7 levels. Yichu slowly curled the corners of his mouth, savoring the pleasure of his body being filled with soul power. A faint sound came from above the canyon. Whoosh! A massive, dark shadow loomed over Yichu, but the smile on Yichu's face remained unchanged. Because of the previous explosion, the violent Ape King, though already far away, hadn't forgotten the pain from the attacks on its lower body, which led to this sneak attack from above. Yichu quickly raised his head, his eyes slowly opening, a line of blood trailing from the corner of his eye. He stared intently at the descending Ape King, the 3 tomo in his eyes coalescing into a beautiful 6-pointed star shape when they unfolded again. Boom! A deafening explosion. Its attack, which should have struck Yichu squarely, actually passed through him, hitting the ground beside him, the shockwave knocking over the nearby tiger. Chapter 24 Dual Divine Might. The berserk ape crashed down, raising a cloud of dust. Yichu, his figure somewhat ethereal, a faint smile playing on his lips, watched the Ape King slam into the ground. As expected, it never learns its lesson. Roar! Unfazed by its missed attack, it immediately activated its berserk mode, charging at Yichu again. Unfortunately, all its punches landed on the ground, and Yichu, standing there motionless, was unharmed. Had enough. With that, Yichu lunged forward, aiming a groin kick at its vital spot. In its berserk state, it knew nothing of defense. Thud! This time, Yichu didn't hold back. Had he not absorbed his spirit ring in time, he would have been crushed to death. This was merely a minor punishment. Roar! Looking at the berserk ape still rolling on the ground, Yichu didn't want to stay any longer. With such a commotion, someone might already be arriving. He called out to Tiger, who had just gotten up, and was about to leave when a purple light caught Yichu's eye in the distance. Could it be? Whoosh! He even subconsciously used Ghost Shadow Step to quickly grab the object. The purple light swirled, resembling a bulletproof vest, and was exceptionally flexible. HMPH, that violent ape almost got in my way. Yichu was now certain that what he held was a soul bone, but its appearance was rather strange. Is this a soul bone? A torso bone? Why is it hollow and soft? Hiss, I'm so lucky. Yichu suddenly remembered that besides the 6-piece set, there seemed to be something called an external soul bone. Could this be an external soul bone? Yichu felt his guess was pretty accurate. He hadn't expected that forcing a soul beast to sacrifice itself using his Sharingan would actually yield a soul bone, and a rare external soul bone at that. Would that mean he could quickly collect a complete set? Hearing the commotion in the distance, Yichu didn't dare linger. He kicked the violent ape again, turning it from a solitary creature into a testiceless one, its testicles scattered. His gaze focused on the soul bone in his hand. He activated his Sharingan, and space instantly distorted, like an invisible vortex, sucking the external soul bone into it until it disappeared. He mounted a tiger and rode away. Along the way, he avoided a lot of trouble thanks to his Sharingan. Huh? Another gale wolf. The alert Yichu noticed another vicious male wolf ahead. Pat pat, he patted Tiger's back, signaling it to come closer. Perfect, let's test the power of my left eye. As soon as he finished speaking, a 6-pointed star pattern appeared in his eye, and his left eye focused on the gale wolf's waist. Kamui, he whispered. Oh, the gale wolf felt a sharp pain and tried to escape, but it was too late. The distortion of space snapped it in half at the waist, its blood red, unprocessed intestines scattering all over the ground. Phew, not bad, Yichu was overjoyed. A 600-year-old Gale wolf, instantly killed. Yichu jumped off his mount. He had ridden Tiger for so long, and there was nothing to thank it for. Before leaving, he could only give it a serving of 9 turned intestines. After petting Tiger's head a couple more times, Yichu ran towards the exit of the soul hunting forest. Tiger, who had been standing still, now had clear eyes. Looking at Yichu's back, it howled. Roar gurgle. The weak growl was masked by its rumbling stomach. Seeing the Gale wolf broken in two not far away, it didn't hold back and pounced on its prey, devouring it with gusto. Finally, a full meal. Yichu leaped through the jungle, wiping the blood from his face and the corners of his eyes with his sleeve. He couldn't suppress the smile on his lips, he was almost carried away with pride. This harvest is enormous. Xiao Wu, I'm back, the first purple soul ring of the millennium, level 17 soul power, and the Zhuan Gong breaking through to the second level, along with an external soul bone. But what excites Yichu even more is that his Sharingan seems to possess 2 skills within one ring. Clearly, it's dual Kamui, a divine skill he dreamed of in his previous life. After the soul ring was added, it successfully evolved into the main Gekyo Sharingan, significantly enhancing his Jinjutsu and observation abilities. His left eye can teleport objects and enemy attacks from a distance, sending himself into the Kamui space, and can also use spatial distortion to strike enemies, as seen with the lecherous wolf earlier. His right eye blurs the part of himself that is attacked, allowing him to evade any physical attack to a certain extent. He can teleport people and objects he comes into contact with, and can also mark space, enabling long-distance teleportation through the Kamui space. Its advantages in survival, escape, surprise attacks, and even storage are unparalleled. Yichu is also puzzled. Logically, the soul skills a soul master acquires should be related to the characteristics of their soul beast, but the Sharingan seems different. The Anaconda's spirit rings could actually activate the Divine Might spirit skill, and Yichu couldn't seem to figure out the connection. He could only attribute it to the Sharingan being somewhat out of place in this world. After all, when it used spirit skills, even the spirit rings didn't seem to manifest. In this respect, Yichu could only say that his martial spirit was truly sensible. He quickened his pace, remembering he had entrusted a letter to Tom and his wife. He should take back that will. Now, with Divine Might protecting him, even if Yichu couldn't defeat the Tang father and son, escaping shouldn't be a problem, right? It was already afternoon. The ragged Yichu finally returned to the carving workshop. Yichu, what happened to you? Are you really going to become a spirit master? Grandma Tom's scolding quickly followed when she saw him. Yichu knew that her parents had gone and never returned while hunting spirits. Even though she possessed soul power, she didn't become a soul master. Instead, she married an ordinary person. He couldn't answer this truthfully, so he could only smile awkwardly. Being a soul master is truly unavoidable. Alright, Yichu, you should go wash up first. I'll go buy you some clothes. Grandpa Jerry pulled her aside, preventing her from speaking further, and whispered something to her. When Yichu finished getting ready and came out again, the elderly couple sat upright, looking at him seriously, gesturing for him to sit opposite them. Yichu sat down, expecting a formal interrogation, but to his surprise, Grandma Tom simply handed him a letter. The young lady came here this morning, but it wasn't time yet, so I didn't give it to her. He silently took it and put it away. After exchanging a glance, Grandma Tom took out a box from behind her and placed it in the center of the table. Take a look. Yichu opened it as instructed, revealing a pink gemstone with a ring-shaped metal underneath. A ring. He looked at the two elders strangely, not understanding their meaning. What? Is this all the esteemed soul master knows? Grandma Tom's words were somewhat provocative. Fortunately, Grandpa Jerry was there to soothe him, smiling as he said to Yichu, take a closer look. Yichu scratched his head. His knowledge really wasn't that great. He took the ring in his hand. This is a special soul tool. He looked at the two elders in surprise. He hadn't expected them to possess such a valuable item. Chapter 25. Very, very bad people. This is Tom's family heirloom. He was born into a soul master family, but after his father-in-law and mother-in-law never returned, the family declined. What should have been passed down to the family had ended up in Tom's hands. Did I ask you to speak? Before Grandpa Jerry could finish speaking, the old woman beside him objected. giving him a sidelong glance. None of that matters. What matters is that this thing will be yours from now on, for me. Xiao pointed to himself, somewhat surprised. Yes, for you. We, the old couple, have no offspring, so we'll just keep it and be buried together. We'll give it to you. Isn't this too valuable? What's the use of being valuable? We won't need it anymore. There was a hint of hesitation in Grandma Tom's eyes. Can't you soul masters just behave yourselves? I'm tired, you can go now. Old man, see him off. Yichu sat there blankly, watching her enter the inner courtyard. Yichu, take this and go. Grandpa Jerry stuffed the item into Yichu's hands and saw him to the door. Behind him, Grandma Tom's aged voice drifted back. That little girl is very good. She was crying very sadly. Click. Looking at the closed door before him, how could Yichu not be moved? He also felt a pang of sympathy for Grandma Tom's plight. He understood what she meant. Yichu stored the items in his hand into his divine might space, went to a clothing store, put on a black cloak, and headed towards Nodding Academy. Near Nodding Academy, Yichu's pupils turned purple as he scanned the entire academy. His eyes stung, and his face flushed, but he was certain that Tang Hao wasn't around. Perhaps he was out drinking again. A six-pointed star appeared in his eyes, and his divine might activated. Yichu's body slowly sank into the ground. In the deserted dormitory 7, only Xiao Wu was there. Since Yichu left, she hadn't been to the classroom. At this moment, she was engrossed in her desk, fiddling with a bamboo dragonfly in her hand. As long as I fix it, Xiao Chu will come back, right? Yichu's illusory body slowly emerged from the wall behind her, looking at her somewhat thin figure. He spoke softly. Xiao Wu, however, she didn't react at all. Am I hallucinating again, Xiao Wu? I'm back. Yichu moved a little closer to her and called again. Thump. The bamboo dragonfly in her hand fell onto the table. Before she even turned around, her eyes were already filled with tears. Yichu approached again and placed his hand on her shoulder. I'm back, Xiao Chu. She stood up and turned around. After seeing who it was, she immediately hugged Yichu's neck and leaned against his chest. Xiao Chu, you're finally back. Sob sob, it's all my fault. I broke the bamboo dragonfly you gave me again. I didn't mean to. As she spoke, she choked up as if she had committed a terrible crime. Before Yichu could hug her tightly, she ran away. Looking at her strangely, he saw her quickly take out a rectangular box-like object from the foot of the bed and present it to Yichu like a treasure. Xiao Chu, look, this is this huge repeating crossbow that Tang-san gave me. Can I give it to you? Tears streamed down her face as she looked at Yichu, her lips pouting, utterly aggrieved. Please don't leave me again, okay? Xiao Wu will listen to anything you say. Whatever you want, Xiao Wu will help you. Seeing her like this, Yichu realized that he didn't actually dislike love-struck girls. At least not to his own girls. He was hypocritical. Yes, I know. I understand. He pulled her into his arms, gently patting her back. How could I abandon you for such a small thing? He comforted her for a while until she stopped sobbing. Relax, don't resist. To prevent Tang Hao from suddenly returning, Yichu planned to take her into his divine might space as well. Xiao Wu heard this and quietly nestled in his arms, motionless. Yichu's disappearance for 3 days must have really frightened her. A vortex appeared, and the two figures vanished from their spot, along with a bamboo dragonfly on the table. Dormitory 7 became quiet. Inside the divine might space, the surroundings were endless, vast stone platforms. Xiao Wu lifted her head from Yichu's arms, looking at the unfamiliar environment, and couldn't help but ask, Xiao Chu, where's this? This is the alternate dimension that comes with my first soul skill. He carefully wiped away the tears on her face. Alternate dimension? Yes, look. Releasing Xiao Wu, Yichu took a few steps back, a six-pointed star appearing in his eyes, and a purple soul ring slowly rose from beneath his feet. 1,000-year soul ring. Xiao Wu covered her mouth, utterly incredulous, and eagerly pounced on him. Xiao Chu, you're so amazing, and you're getting more and more beautiful. When their eyes met, the words she spoke changed, her voice soft and weak. Her crimson eyes seemed to be shrouded in a pink mist, and she rubbed against Yichu like a pet, her pretty face flushed. This time she went even further, crossing her legs and even starting to lightly bite his face. What a sin. He's still just a child. It seems that the Sharingan, this unorthodox ability, has become stronger again. Just as Yichu was lost in thought, Xiao Wu started tugging at his clothes. He quickly deactivated his martial spirit. Long-term effects. Xiao Wu seemed completely absorbed in the moment. Helpless, Yichu tapped her head. Ouch! Their eyes met, and Xiao Wu's face burned even redder. Before leaving, she secretly took another bite. Yichu rolled his eyes. He couldn't blame her for the first bite, but this last one was definitely her true nature as a mischievous rabbit. Put your legs down too, she responded guiltily, slowly lowering herself down while still clinging to Yichu. Yichu looked at her in confusion. I used too much force just now, my legs are a little weak. Yichu is speechless again. Was his Sharingan really that powerful? He activated his Kamui and moved to a stone platform with some tables and chairs. He placed her on a stool, where her favorite carrots were already prepared. Take a break and grab something to eat. I'll fix this little thing, okay? The little rabbit nodded obediently. She munched on a carrot while glancing at Yichu beside her. Carrots weren't her favorite food. Yichu wiped his face, which was covered in drool, and then wiped it with his sleeve. Xiao Wu giggled foolishly beside him. Ignoring her, Yichu continued fixing the thing in his hands, this time adding some thin wire to wrap around it. Xiao Chu, did you encounter some danger? Your black stockings are covered in blood. Xiao Wu leaned on the table, facing him. Yes, I met a very, very bad person. He wanted to kill me. Kill you. Who is it? Xiao Chu, tell me, I'll avenge you. Hearing that someone wanted to kill him, Xiao Wu immediately perked up. He looked at her. Silent for a long time. Xiao Chu, what's wrong? She looked up, curious. Yichu put down what he was holding, intending to be more explicit. He's a title Douluo. Yichu's casual remark sent a jolt through Xiao Wu's head. Her previously smiling face immediately froze, turning pale as she murmured to herself, a title Douluo. End of this chapter. Thank you so much for reading until the end. Don't forget to give it a like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription or donation encourages us to continue. Thank you all. See you in the next video.